start in about a minute. Are we good? Oh, you're just started. Beautiful. Thank you. Great. Hi, Julie. Okie doke. Jerry, somebody in your house has a green thumb. Okay, we are going to get going. I'd like to call to order the Parks, Property and Streets Committee meeting on Monday, October 6, 2025. You'll note that the meeting agenda says 1 to 3 p.m. So I thought we'd try this and try to see if we could put a window on here. And, Julie and I did talk about this to see if it might, help us to be have shorter meetings, not because, but still get everything in that we want to talk about. So throughout the meeting, not a lot, but I will occasionally just say, okay, we've been through this and we've got a few more minutes. This is not to say that we will irresponsibly stop a meeting because it's 3 o'clock. I'm not suggesting that, but what we'd like to try to do is see if maybe this would help. So that's why it says that. Okay, so on to a call to order and roll call. Louise Housen here.
Berto here.
Laskowitz here.
Arndt's here.
So you guys, two people talked at once, but everybody's here.
Denise and I did. Denise is here. I'm here.
Okay, all right, so we're good, Sarah. Okay, approval of minutes. May I have a motion, please, to approve the minutes? I'm going to start with the regular meeting. Actually, I have some edits, but so let's start with the easy one. So,
Louise,
yeah.
can you do that agenda first?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Every time. May I have a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting?
I'll make a motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. One note, this is not a change in the agenda, but just as a comment, I think maybe this is for you, Sarah. Under comments, correspondence, and concerns from the public, I did see that we have a note from the public, specifically John Blossom, about parking and so forth. And I considered that comments and correspondence. However, the order in which it's in the packet is not where comments and correspondence would necessarily be, which would be after the agendas. So just take a look at that, because it looks like maybe it might be, not right now, but take a look at it. It looks like it may be part of an agenda item. Do you know what I mean? I know it's not, but
it's coming right after. We usually, Louise, on all of them, we do the agenda, the minutes, the comments, and that's how it is going in there.
okay.
The minutes get done on page 8, and then his comment on page 9. So
maybe mine the order was, that's weird. Mine the order was different. So clearly,
I think what might be there is just a spacing page that might help
Okay.
clarify.
Yeah.
But I think it's because he matched the style, like the style was matched with the packet. So
I don't know. I just wanted to, and this is not a criticism at all. I just saw it. Okay, on to item 3. So if we could start with a motion to approve the special meeting minutes from September 22nd.
Luis, do you want to note that there's no public in attendance if you're doing comments, correspondence, concerns?
No, we're still doing agendas from the prior meetings.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
approving
yes, we're getting.
So special meeting, approval of the minutes from the special meeting on September 22nd. The outdoor rec meeting. Any corrections? Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we move to the regular meeting on September 8th. I have one thing I noticed. This is minor. On page, we're going to go in on page 4, or it could be on 3, because it depends on if you're looking at it digitally or printed. Line 47. it says this is about the triangle. Design includes parallel parking on the north side and angled parking by on-deck restaurants. Sarah, that should say Roots Restaurant. So that was just,
Wait, where are we?
I am on, under discussion item 6A.
Oh, I think it's supposed to be angled parking by on deck and the word restaurant should not be in there.
Okay, so everything by Roots is parallel. So instead of on deck restaurant, it should say on deck store. Okay, and not restaurant. And forget Roots. Okay. Okay. I also had a question. Is that how we spell Tim Halbrook's last name? Is it H-A-L or H-O? Okay.
Okay.
Also, and this is the committee agreed to the following. This is for the Ava Hope and Northwood Community Park. Should we put in what his budget is? This is on line 12. Combine Halbrook's budget for the playground equipment with the village's 30,000. Should we plug in what his is?
I don't think we should, Louise, because so these are the minutes. This is reflecting what was actually
What we
said.
talked about? Okay.
Right. And so if that wasn't something that came out in there, then that wouldn't be in your minutes.
I don't remember if it was or not, and I didn't listen to that portion of the meeting. Okay, I just didn't know if we need it for history. Okay.
But I think we talked about it being an equal or greater amount to what the village was going to contribute. That's why, because I remember asking a question about why the 30,000. I think Julie responded that it was equal to his amount, and I thought it also was the amount that we had accumulated from a past transaction related to this land.
Yeah, that wouldn't be correct because the playground equipment is just a couple $1,000s. Now
This
his
is
overall
his budget,
park,
Mike. Yeah.
the overall park is going to be more, but the playground equipment wasn't very much in because we had the 30,000. We wanted to make sure it was a larger playground equipment like we wanted. So, but the number wasn't in there. But
Okay.
clarification.
Okay. Okay. Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
Another correction, page 4, line 18, it says motion carried, 6 ayes, Bell recused. There's only 5 members of the committee, and with Bell recused, it'd be 4 ayes.
Okay.
That's all I saw.
All right.
Also on page 2, line 37, Lagerquist is spelt wrong.
It's with an O, yeah.
And on page 6, line 33, Lagerquist is spelled wrong again. Page 7, line 31, Kessel. I don't know that we have a Kessel Court, but Kessel is spelled wrong.
That's Koessel.
Koessl.
Koessl, sorry. Okay, I don't know about court either.
We don't have a Kessel Court.
It's probably Kessel Lane. I don't know.
And I didn't read it in the minutes. So I don't know if we want to add it. I don't know that it's necessarily important to add, but I do want an answer to the question that I asked at last month's meeting pertaining to the Mill Road Triangle. And my question was how much parking will be needed that will be taken up by, let's say, the Brad Lindenberg property and the apartment building that may be going away. How much parking do we have to have for those displaced spaces. And doesn't have to be in the minutes, but I hope somebody has the answer for me today.
Right, so we did, just real quick, we did reach out to all of them. We sent all of them a letter asking how many spaces they need. None of them replied. So I also spoke to them at the public informational meeting. The only one who said they needed, now I can't speak to how many are being removed because that was on the plans Jennifer had. I'd have to go back and look at those, but I did, because we had also talked about, finding out from the people how many they need. So we sent the letter out, nobody replied. So then at the public informational meeting, I was asking people, the only one who said they needed parking there was one owner, and it's because their kids still live at home, and they said they needed 5 parking spaces.
Okay.
Well, we'll discuss it when we talk about parking when we look at the road, but you can't really, property sell, children move out, so what do you do with that? You're supposed to have parking on site. So do they have enough to meet legally? That property in particular did. But yeah, so my understanding is we were going to be looking at all that again when we actually looked at the road design.
Okay,
But we did ask, we didn't get answers. So then I started asking at the meeting.
thank you.
Okay, so any more changes? All right, do I have a motion to approve as amended the minutes from the Parks meeting on Monday, September 22nd, 2025?
So moved.
Second,
Yeah.
all in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Okay, now we move to comments, correspondence, and concerns from the public, and we have a letter here that I think everybody has seen, right?
Right.
Okay. I don't see Sharon or Sarah, I don't see anybody else on the call. Okay, then we're going to move on to item 5A, resolution, concession stand, restrooms, volunteer labor.
So I guess I'll just ask if there's any questions on that. If not, maybe we can make a motion on that.
There's something that I want to discuss relating to this, although I want to approve this, but I did want to mention something about this. So if I could just inform the committee that Julie, I did ask, Jeff Pfeiffer lives next door to me. I see him all the time. And so what he told me, and Eric, he told me that in order to, because this is, part of Eric's, you know what? It's probably better for me to wait until Eric's report because it relates better to, I beg your pardon, you guys, I'm sorry, if I'm a little scattered. We'll wait till Eric's report and then I'll make a comment then because it's nothing we have to vote on anyway. It's okay. All right. Do I have a motion to pass a resolution indicating that volunteers will be constructing the addition?
So I thought that that's what we had said to the board before in our last recommendation when it fell through. So I guess what we had told the board just needs a clarification here, and that's why it's come back to us for a new resolution.
No, what happens is, so if the bids are too high, in a municipality can opt to have their staff do it, but you need to pass a resolution to that effect. And one question was, does your staff actually have to do it, or can they work with subcontractors? Our attorney said they could work with subcontractors. So we forwarded a resolution to the board to reject all bids and instead have our staff build it. Earlier I had conversations with Jeff about them volunteering, and he said they couldn't at that time. So we proceeded with rejecting all bids and going with the resolution to have staff do it. That's required by law. That's the only way you can reject those bids.
And so this changes the change from just staff doing it to they could potentially drive it themselves.
From staff to volunteers.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Julie, could you Jerry, that was a good question, but I'm still not sure I get it exactly. So,
Okay. So the
I-
way the state law works is you have to accept the lowest bid. So when we put this project out for bid, they were basically about double what we had in the budget, right?
yeah,
'Cause we had a
recall,
grant
yeah.
for 65. The only way you can reject those is you have to have some material reason or have your, you have to reject it for material reason. Your staff can build it yourself, meaning put it out, break it in little pieces and do a little bit at a time. But the law says the only way to do that is by resolution. So we sent a resolution to the board saying we're rejecting all the bids and our staff is going to build this. Now we have some people that came forward and said, hey, we will volunteer our labor and do this. So to change the resolution on file, the only way to change that resolution from your staff doing it to the volunteers is via a new resolution.
Okay, that was an excellent explanation. I think you did it twice. I just didn't get it the first time.
I
Thank you.
have one further question. Will we have a general on this project?
So let me back up a second. So they're 99.9% sure they're going to do the volunteer work on this. They'll know for sure by the time the board meets. Right now, the person who is acting as the general is John. My mind just went blank.
Sawyer.
John Sawyer, I'm sorry, thank you. We've printed off the plans. We're running big blueprints for him. He's been getting bids. He's kind of been doing all the organizing on it. So John would basically serve as the general on the volunteer labor project.
Okay. Well, I feel much more confident now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a professional.
Because if we were just going to leave it up to staff and whoever, I would have voted no. So as long as it's somebody who knows what they're doing, I'm good with that.
And for those of you that don't know, John was a contractor himself. He had a building construction company. So
Okay, do we have a motion for this resolution, please?
So moved.
Second,
Second,
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, we are now at 5B. Contract and grant discussions, administration building redesign, McMahon.
okay, so there's a couple pieces in this staff report, as you can see. The first one is I was directed to ask Mike, can you redesign it? Can you do it under 25,000? He said yes. He was hoping that we could start in October instead of November because October he had more free time in there. But so the first question is, do we want to forward a contract to the board and have him start at the November meeting? Or do you want to wait until you have a new site selected?
Doesn't that kind of hinge on the next part though, on the grant, or no? Would we do that through?
That's
rework
another,
regardless?
yeah, so that's another part of it. I mean, there's a grant right now where you could get up to 1.5 million of it covered. So you have to decide, do you proceed with a grant with the plans you have, well, with the design you have on the property you have, and try to get the engineering done on that? Or do you just say we're not interested in the 1.5 million and instead we want to keep working through the details about where this is going to go, what we want to change on the building? There's a lot in that staff report, so I'm not quite sure how you want to handle it, but I was told to ask Mike. That's the answer from Mike. Yes, he can redesign it for 25. And I think you guys know I hate to pass up grants that are a little easier to get. We have no idea if we'd get it. There's a lot of competition. It's a new grant program at the state level, but it's not a difficult one to write, I guess is what I'm saying. And it would
So after
cover,
we submitted for that grant, could we do tweaks to the design still, or when you submit the grant, does the design get fully locked in?
I'm not sure because it doesn't have that detail in there. I think usually there's some minor edits that they allow. Their big thing is the grant they're giving you still covering their 50% of it? And does it still meet their guidelines, which is public facility, et cetera? And is it still engineered? Because they have their building safety division, I think it is, review these to make sure that they are indeed shovel-ready sites.
Yeah, I
Um,
think from my understanding, all of the details that we have for the Lagerquist design and site are fully engineered and more or less ready, right? Are there any
Well,
soil borings or other gaps still, or?
yeah, no. So we have plans which the board adopted in, I think it was November, if I remember right. November of 24, they adopted a drawing. And then I think it was January, we went back to them to have the engineering work begin. And at that time, they said no, and they put everything on hold because they were thinking of a different site. So the project has never been engineered. So we would have to have Mike see if they can engineer it by October 31st or before that, because your deadline is the 31st.
Do we think he could, or has he given us
I
any
think he could.
indication?
I think he could because they've done some initial work on it.
we'd also have to have a civil site design, right?
Right. So that's pretty easy. So Skylar had done some initial work on that in the beginning. If you remember, he had looked at where our pond would be, where the parking lot would be, where the sewer lateral was going to have to come up. So he had done some initial work on that. You have to understand before we sign the contract with them, they're usually giving us some some pieces so we kind of have a good idea, but they're not going to stamp it until you have some contract that they're actually paid for. So we don't have an official civil site design by an engineer. He would want to do a little more work on it, but I think that's fairly easy for him because he's done some initial work on it as well. I mean, they started this, what, 2 years ago, maybe? Year and a half ago, maybe. So there's been some initial work done on both sides of the project. And if you don't have it done, we can't apply.
Sure. Um, so when I went back and listened to the recording of the meeting last month, um, I think our mission for this meeting was to relook at the plans that exist right now and to look at the current plans and see what we could do in terms of making it smaller. I don't remember the exact words, but what was mentioned a couple of times was to reestablish the parameters, which would have included the square footage and generally the square footage, but also meeting room, offices, bathrooms, storage, etc. So having not done that, um, it just, I think we skipped a step, but maybe that's what I thought the intent was. So I'm wondering though, because we have an opportunity, for this grant, I'm wondering if there's somewhere, I know that you've listed Devileys here as well. If there's somewhere else that in the village where we could apply for this grant that would be shovel ready. And another one that comes to mind could be Village Hall. And I don't know where we would be with that. Or what anybody thinks about that.
I mean, we've already filled out one grant application for that. I mean, I don't, I mean, I guess I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on that, Julie, because it seems like that's just as far along as far as being
Well,
ready as the administration building.
so we never did do the engineering drawings on the village hall. And we never did submit the CDBG grant. The board decided not to submit that grant.
Right.
So that didn't go through. The concern on the village hall, and it would just have to take some work by the board, is you don't have the 50% match budgeted or accounted for,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
So that this grant will pay 50% and you don't have 50% set aside in there. But you could try and get that one engineered quickly. I know that there is probably some changes to that design because initially the marina had talked about we want X amount of bathrooms there, we want X amount of showers there. when we had that designed and told them what the figure was, they were like, no way, we're not paying that. You know, it was, I think offhand, it might have been like 500,000 or something. They're like, no. So my thought always was when we revisit that plan, I think we have to look at that bathroom again, because if they're not going to pay for the marina bathrooms, do you include them? Do you make them smaller so they do pay for them? What do you do? But certainly if you were far enough on I think you're further on the engineering on the admin building, because I know Mike was talking with the plumbers, etc. You could quick try and get the village hall engineered, and then figure out that 50% match, how you're going to pay for that.
I mean, so you mentioned the possibility of the Devilly project. I'm assuming that is even further, there's even less done for engineering on that, isn't there? Or is that part of a plan that utilities has got somewhere that just not been seen the light of day yet?
So he has hired an engineer, and they're actually coming in tomorrow with the plans. They would like to have the village take over those roads, so we would be a partner on that. They don't want them to remain private. That discussion has to be had. But they do have them engineered. I think they're going with, or near completion, I should say. I don't think they're final. They were looking at 40-foot roads. They do need to go back to the Plan Commission though, and unfortunately, Plan Commission is fourth week in October, so they wouldn't have a lot of time to make changes. But that is the only other project I can think of that's close to being engineered is those Devilly roads.
Just for my understanding, Julie, and I'll look this up if you help me, what grant package is this from the state?
Sure, let me just tell you real quick, Mike.
There's a link in there, but it doesn't have the HTTP, so it's not obvious, but it's in that under the the staff report.
Oh, yeah, local dash projects.
If you
yeah.
click on it, it's actually a proper link.
Okay.
So it's just called Grants for Local Projects. It's a non-state grant program.
What does that mean, non-state grant program? I mean, like the state's administering the grant.
You know, I've never seen that before. Usually that means that the state is not putting up the funding for it. But that doesn't sound, but I don't think that's what's happening here. So I'm not sure.
I was a little confused by that, but that sounds like that you're also confused by it, so.
Yeah.
So if we move back to the initial question, which was for us is do we want to hold on, does the committee support forwarding to the board a new contract with McMahon for design services under 25,000? I think I would hesitate to do that until we know, until we discuss further in detail exactly what the new, until we reestablish the parameters. And this isn't even about the location necessarily, it's about the size of the building. So I don't want to.
I think, Luis, that's what that contract is to work with McMahon on that redesign. Just like
Okay.
we did it last time, McMahon was contracted for the design. We worked with them on the parameters that we wanted. They did the design, it went through several iterations and was eventually approved by us and then the board. My
Right.
understanding of this contract would be to go back under contract with them to do a redesign.
And would the redesign include a conversation that says, I understand they need to know how many offices and they need to know we need a meeting room and so forth, but would it start with, this is how many what the square footage is? This is what we want the square footage to be.
I think it would start the same way it did last time, where they get our inputs for what we're looking for, and then they work
Right.
on the design.
Okay, so I wasn't there for that part of it, so I don't know exactly, because I looked and there weren't a lot of details for what that input exactly was. And
Yeah, they
I
wanted to
know that
understand
there was
meeting room
input.
size, number of seats, number of offices,
Right.
number of bathrooms, that kind of stuff, and then they came back with several designs, and then we iterated through.
Well, I also think that it sounds like there was an aesthetic design too, which is needs to look like like a farmhouse. We want an atrium, we want a front porch and that sort of thing. So,
That was all part of that initial conversation. yes.
okay, okay. So given that some of those things increase the size of it, you know, would we be, would the committee be agreeable to being more specific with them in terms of the size of the building? Because if it, and my struggle is because the size, the shape are different depending on where it goes, or not even the size, never mind, the shape, because Mill Road is square and Lagerquist is long. And so that's one of the things that we were going to talk about. So the number of meeting rooms we have. We also had a long discussion at the meeting last time about archive storage and AV and file storage and so forth, and what we could do to digitize that. And Julie went on to say it'll take us a year to do that, but yes, we should digitize and so forth. So Denise, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, those are the things that we talked about last month. We're still going to need,
Okay.
file storage and whatever, no matter if we digitize or not. And Julie said that was probably going to take, $100,000 to $200,000 that we have not budgeted. We're talking about a room that's, I think, under 125 square feet, not a lot taking off.
Yep, we talked about that. Yep.
But my point is as much as I would like to sit down with McMahon and have them do a redesign according to this particular committee, I'm not in favor of doing it until there is a site selected. I think it is a waste of time because I think they are going to be two very different buildings designed.
I would agree. Yeah.
I was going to go down a different path. But I'm having a little trouble opening up this link. I mean, how likely is it that we would really have a chance of getting this grant based on the fact that we're near the end of the first, we're what, October 6th today? The grant packages have to be in before the end of the month. And we don't have an agreed upon design to submit. I don't know how we could ever call this shovel ready if that's a requirement that's used here. I don't know which the definition of shovel ready.
I mean, we do have the original design approved by this committee and the board on the Lagerquist site that we could submit. That's, except for a few engineering things Julie talked about, that is ready.
Right,
We have
that
to
was
use-
by
yeah.
board action that was approved.
We would use the old one, Mike, but not the old one, the existing one. I'm sorry, the existing design. Mhm. But Mike,
Okay, so then the next part of my question is, if we get this grant, does it limit our site selection or redesign process?
Yeah, that's what I asked earlier, and it sounded like we could make minor tweaks, but not redo the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to pick a whole different design and building, it really wasn't shovel ready.
then I don't think we should pursue it, but I do think there's other projects we might be able to apply it to.
I mean, looking at what we've got and how difficult it is to move forward on alignment on design and agreements, I think it's either we submit as is for the grant or we don't submit anything for the grant, because I don't see how we would get anything with the Village Hall or the Devilly project through the necessary approvals and reviews in order to submit by the end of the month. They haven't even gone through what the village administration building's already gone through.
Well, I can understand Village Hall because I neglected to take into account, we do not have the 50% set aside. So a very good point on Julie's part. I didn't even think of that. And Devilee's, again, hasn't been through plan, so,
But we also have the 50% issue on Devilee's too. I mean, any project that we don't actually have in the works, we're gonna have that issue with.
Yeah, but if it's a public-private partnership, Dudley would pay the other 50%, Nick, or Nate.
I have a question about Devilee, and I'm not quite sure what you meant when you said that. And you said that he's hired an engineer, they have hired an engineer, and that their desire is to have the village take over the road, so we would be a partner. What does we would be a partner mean?
So usually when you're looking at a partner, the municipality is paying, like, let's say 50% and the developer is paying 50%. In this case, it would be the grant would pay 50% and Devilee's the developer would pay 50%. When they're asking the village to take it over, what that means is the village would have to agree that once constructed, they would take ownership of the road, meaning they would do the maintenance on the road.
Yeah.
Exchange, for every mile of road that you have, you get gas tax dollars, which are monies from the state to help with street repairs, things of that nature.
Okay. All right, so if we didn't, let's say that, I know this is kind of getting down the road a bit, but if we didn't get the grant, and then whose decision would it be that we would partner with them and pay for half of
The board would have that final say. It would come,
Okay.
Plan Commission would have to look at it, make sure it even meets code, if something they would even allow.
Okay,
Parks and Streets would look at that.
yeah,
Because of course it would become a street you'd be responsible for. And
Yeah.
then it would actually go to the board and they'd have to have the final say on it.
yeah,
In this particular case, keep in mind, anyone that does get that grant, the state retains an interest in it.
yeah, I saw that, right.
Have another player in
Yeah,
it.
do we have any idea? No, I certainly don't, of the cost of what that would be? Like if state pays half, sorry, we pay half, developer pays half, or the grant pays half, they pay half?
So I've been asking them for the numbers and they've been reluctant to give them to me so far, but we do have a meeting tomorrow where we're going to talk about that.
Okay,
We do know, and this kind of goes, sorry, Denise, I saw you had your hand up, but this kind of goes to my last paragraph there. We talk about stuff. We never get close enough to the finish line to have those engineered drawings. This is the second time in, I think, 2.5 years that we've left money on the table. We are a small community. We don't get a lot of grant dollars from the states or the Fed or state or the feds. We recently qualified for CDBG. We are the type of community that usually people look on favorably, but because we never finish what we start. Sorry, that's, kind of being blunt on that, but we talk about stuff. We get bids from engineers, but we never take it to that next finish line. We miss a lot of these opportunities. So I would say, if you're not going to do something, at least look at those projects you've started and try and get them finished. So the next time this comes up, and hopefully you're aware of it when it comes up, but when it does, you guys are ready to go. Because, saving your taxpayers $1.5 million, I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, if we can. I
If
mean,
you
it's a
can.
but I'm reading the description of this, and maybe you can help me with this, Julie.
Yeah.
It says, an initiative dedicated to supporting organizations in their pursuit of construction projects with a statewide public purpose. Do we have a definition of statewide public purpose?
No, it's not they're not just statewide the state maintains an interest in that program, in that project. But if you,
I'm just telling you what it says.
yeah, no, I've read through it.
When I was involved with the federal government in these grant programs, every word was important.
Yeah, so let me bring you to another one that maybe you haven't read there. Is this the fact sheet?
And it looks like it may be that more than just public entities are eligible for it. Eligible organizations, grants are non-state organizations that are not for-profit entities. So this is not just municipalities.
Tribes would be involved as well. So it is for county, municipality, tribe, nonprofit organization, or private entity.
Yeah.
And then it is, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the innovation grant one, which I'm not going to even ask you about. Let me go back to this one here. Yeah, it is. That's why I sent the link, was so you guys could read through this, see for yourself. But it is based, and I've got a call into them as well. I'm trying to find the whole document here now.
I guess maybe what Mike's getting at is would Devily's be, I don't know that it's going to be, but is it eligible just in a general sense?
Yes, because it would be infrastructure to further public housing.
Okay.
Not public housing, affordable housing.
Okay.
So I think you stand a better chance with administration building, which has room for elections and public meeting space. Absolutely, I think it's your better shot.
Okay. All right. Any more discussion? Do we want to take a vote?
Denise had a question a while ago.
Oh, sorry, you did, Denise. I'm so sorry. Yeah, Denise.
I've long forgotten it.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. You're right. You did. I'm sorry. So the question before us is, does the committee support forwarding to the board a new contract with McMahon for design services under 25,000? That's one.
I think I'd look at it slightly differently. I think it would be a shame to pass up a grant of this size that makes the building, virtually half the cost. That we should submit the plans as is on Lagerquist for the grant and attach to that, if it is okay time-wise, to say if we don't get the grant, then we go choose the site and re-engineer the building.
Yeah, I mean, in spring of 26. So if in spring
Is
of
that how
20,
long it is till no for the?
right,
And then we'd also be out that $200,000 of engineering.
right.
You have to
However,
spend that now on the $30,000 of site design.
right. However, on the engineering, I mean, if that building is not a complete redraw, some of that engineering you should be able to use. I mean,
If
like,
not-
Unless it moved sites, then it wouldn't be
Yeah.
reusable. It'd only be usable if it was on the Lagerquist site with a smaller building, right?
yeah, I mean, if you go with a completely different design of a building,
And a different
or
site,
or
it would
different
have
s-
to be re-engineered.
If it's a different site, it has to be a different building.
Oh, for sure.
doesn't
Well,
have
yes.
to be, but
Well,
because the site you're looking at is smaller, yes, you would want a smaller building.
Well, it has to be square. That's the difference. The other one is linear.
Can I just ask one other
And that's where I think
question?
I don't think the grantees, I don't think they would consider that a minor edit.
So I don't think so either, Louise. So keep in mind the building that's on the Old Parks Maintenance Facility site is a long rectangular building. So it doesn't have to be a square building to fit on that site. It could be a rectangular building. Your challenge is, if you remember right, if you have a 6,000 max square building, there's like no room, wiggle room whatsoever.
You have
So
800 feet left. Yep.
I just, one other point on this grant, and maybe Julie, you have experience with this, but it says under accountability, the state will retain an ownership interest in the project equivalent to the amount of the grant to ensure it fulfills its public purpose.
Yeah.
I'm again kind of going back to the point that there's going to be a lot of different folks competing for this, public, nonprofit, and nonprofit. Do we know how much money is in the grant program?
let me go to that link again that I sent you guys.
I am looking at the link. Maybe I'm missing it, but I don't see it.
It
There is
looks like
a press release.
It looks like $1.5 million.
Pardon me?
The total amount.
Per awardee limit.
Right. Oh, it's 50 million. Well, let me look at that. 50 million for a number of categories of grants. I'm just trying to think of how
Yes.
many of these grants are actually going to be give out. They capped them at 2 million per grant.
This one said 1.5.
In the document I just read, it said 2.
Right, but it'd be 1.5 for us because our project is 3 and it only does
It
up
can
to
only go up to
50%.
50 million. I mean, only go up to 50%.
50%.
Okay, so the way I see it is option A, we apply for the grant with the existing design and pay for 200 grand for the engineering and 35 for the site design. And that is designed for Lagerquist. And also we extend we ask for design services. No, we wait on design services from McMahon. That's option 1. Option 2 is we go ahead and ask for design services from McMahon. We do not apply for the grant because it doesn't look like besides the admin building, we don't really have anything that would be grant eligible. Anybody else got any other options? I don't. Those are the only 2 options that I see. Anyone else?
I think until we have a site, we shouldn't be going ahead with a contract with McMahon. And I also really, really would like to see us finish a postmortem on the Parks building because there's some things I've seen that I don't understand. And maybe there's a good answer to that question, but I haven't even had a chance to ask that question. I'd like to understand before we start the next big project.
Well, then we should put that on the next agenda. I mean, we're still waiting for bills to come in, so we have not been able to bring the final tally to the board. But if there's questions you have on the Parks Maintenance Building, Nate, you should put those together so we can get answers and discuss them at our next meeting. Because I haven't been made aware of anything yet.
I mean, I know that we've asked for a postmortem a few times here, and I thought the appropriate time to ask that was when we really did that and we could dive into it. So I can certainly get questions ahead of that once we know it's going to be on the next agenda.
Yeah, so the board had asked for the final tally. Does this committee now want that too? I mean, just so staff knows where to present this, what we're gathering. We are going to want to make sure like if it's a question Mike can answer, I'm going to want to ask him ahead of time. I guess I just want to be prepared and give you the answers that you're looking for.
Well,
To answer the question, I mean.
if ultimately the board approved it, then why maybe we should just go to the board, Nate?
I mean, we could certainly deal with it at the board. I mean, I thought that since the buildings is the purview of this committee, it might make more sense for it to review it here. But
Yeah, the only thing the board asked for was a final tally or count on what my understanding
Right.
is what the overall cost of
And
it.
if it's done here, Nate, there would be board members that wouldn't necessarily be aware. So it probably should, to me, not a bad idea to have it go to the board.
Okay.
So back to this. So if we submit this for the grant, then we would be, again, we're going to be submitting the existing design and along with engineering and civil site. So both, so 235 grand. And and if we get selected, it could be that we can't change the site and we might not be able to make any edits, which
I don't think that's a could be. I think that's a no. Minor edits only, can't change the site.
right, can't change the site for sure. Minor edits, I don't know how they would interpret that. I have no idea. Okay. And we've talked back and forth about, and in the meantime, we're in line to get soil borings for that lot. So if we go ahead and forward to the board, a request for a new contract with McMahon for design services for a new building or a different building under 25 grand, and then don't do this, it's possible that we walked away from $1.5 million. I don't know.
Well, I guess what's bothering me is I've never been in a situation where it's so I mean, with this grant application process, within 3 weeks, we haven't even talked to the grant authority yet about our qualifications or questions they might have, which is usually a process they allow for. I mean, I get that we want the state grant money if we can get it, but I'm not sure it's a realistic option. So we're kind of making this decision to do this based on an assumption we have a high probability of getting the money, because if we don't get it, we're committed to a process that could cost us a lot of money in the end, maybe more than our citizens want us to spend.
So
I'm a little torn here about whether or not we should be applying for this grant or not. I'm not sure applying for it is going to do much for us if we really only have a small percentage likelihood of getting it.
I think that one of the reasons for this is a tight timeline on a grant, but the point of that tight timeline is to make sure these are shovel-ready
Because
projects.
they're shovel ready, yeah.
I don't see how this is shovel-ready. I mean, and I know it's up to interpretation, but I don't see that, and I think that we'd have to commit that $230,000 to this, and then we would be locking ourselves down that path. Otherwise, if we change direction again, we're going to burn that much more public funds. And I'm not comfortable doing that.
Well, I mean, Julie just said we can get the engineering drawings she feels confident they can do the engineering drawings pretty quickly and the civil site design. So, and that pretty quickly would mean that these need to be submitted with the grant, which means they need to be done by the 30th or 29th or something of October, right?
Right. Yeah,
So
you're
then-
taking a gamble. Do you spend 230 and get 1.5?
Mhm.
Spend 230 and get nothing?
Okay, so then let's play it out. So we submit it, we don't get it. So now we spent 230, but I think you said that the 200 that we spent already with McMahon could go towards a redesign, which is what we had been talking about at the last meeting.
No, so if okay, so let's say you design a building and it looks like this,
Yeah,
and now maybe this end of it gets shorter or smaller.
yeah.
That may or may not affect the engineering down here. For example, like the bathrooms are going to be sized on your people that can fit in the meeting room, the number of employees, etc. There's some engineering that is not going to have to be redone unless, of course, you're doing a whole brand new design on this
So we're
building.
gonna have to pay another, let's say we don't get it, then for engineering, we're gonna have to pay another 100 grand, 150 grand,
Yeah, maybe
another 200. Okay.
depends.
But we would be betting on a long shot grant.
An
Well,
unknown.
don't know if
I think it's
but
an unknown. I think it'd be much more fair to say, Mike, because we truly don't know.
Well, we can find out from the state how many people are applying for it, and that'll give us our odds.
Well, they may not know until the
Yeah.
application deadline.
In the meantime,
since
you
right
gotta
now the
write it.
state
You can't
doesn't
wait till you
we're
know.
Applying.
Yeah,
If we
yes,
did.
this is one of those. Go ahead.
Denise, sorry.
It's it's shovel ready, and as Julie stated before, we have missed out in the past by not having, all of our ducks in a row and whatever. So there's probably many other communities like us, that are in the process of something. So because it needs to be shovel ready, I think that narrows makes your chances better, actually.
I think so too. So, Mike, normally with a grant, I get it. There's guidelines, there's brochures, everything. What we see sometimes come out of DOA is they release this quickly. There's not a lot of details. It's not a big heavy process. And you don't have all that guidelines like you normally do, like in a federal grant or the grants that you're used to. Okay. So this came out couple weeks ago, and I have here, you look at the application pages, maybe you're on there, Mike, where it actually tells you the details. So this is one of the things it says on here. Let me get back to this now that I moved off of here. So the initial eligibility review, this is not a for-profit entity. The applicant has secured funding for at least 50% of the total project cost. Applicant's project is shovel-ready, and it says, for example, the project has completed plans and specifications by an architect/engineering firm of record. We have that, right? We have that. When you go throughout here, though, then it starts talking about engineering or shovel ready. So you know that, yes, we have what it takes to meet eligibility. Now, do we have that extra thing that makes us pop? And that is you're shovel ready. You have the engineering drawings. It goes on to say, your project has to fall into health and wellness, economic and workforce development, public services, arts and culture. Examples of public service are they support essential public infrastructure and services such as emergency responsibility, community facilities, public libraries. These projects improve safety, well-being, social connectivity. It goes on to give other examples. Scoring, how well does the project align with the public purpose of the grant, which is pretty minimal. They don't give you a lot of guidance, right? How effectively does the project address a specific significant community need? Project impact, project viability, organizational capacity. You might take a little dent on that one, but I think Eric can certainly, do this. Local support, does the project have strong local backing and endorsements? Other than arguing about the location, yeah, our plans and records all show everybody agrees you need a new admin building, and that's it. If, I've pretty much read it too, or skimmed it, and then it says, start filling out the form. So, this isn't like a federal grant program. This is one of those, I don't want to call them a sloppy one, but the state comes out with these real quick, easy ones. We applied for it on the village hall when we weren't ready, right? But we're like, we got to try, and we didn't get it, That one, we didn't even have drawings for it. We were quick, really trying to put together something on that one. So it's a chance is what it is, but
Okay, so I think, Julie,
Right.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we've discussed this. So basically, the way I see it is, if we vote we wait on the McMahon redesign and vote on applying for this grant, do the engineering and the site design and apply and get it. We are getting pretty much the 8,000 square foot admin building with very few edits, very few changes at Lagerquist. Everybody agrees on that, right? Isn't that what's going to happen? Right?
Except I don't think it's 8,000 square feet, Louise.
Yeah, I thought it was 7,200 with the porch. but
7,200.
It's 7,200 and then with the porch, it's 8,200, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we're getting. The porch isn't going anywhere because aesthetically, everybody said it's going to look terrible without a porch. That is what we're getting. And that's what we've been for over a year discussing, just so we know.
Yeah,
If
I
we
think
don't
here,
get it, then we go back to McMahon, ask for if they can, or go to the board, ask for a redesign for under 25 grand. I think that's what I think it is.
I think as I'm reading the staff report here, to have this go to the state, we would have to recommend the spending $200,000 on the engineering and the $35,000 on the civil site plan too. That would have to go there to make this a reasonable application for the grant. Is that correct?
But that's probably already in the SIP, right?
I'm still saying we're going to spend that $235,000
Yeah.
in order to have a viable application. And
Yep.
that $235,000 is really tied to the Lagerquist property in that building.
Yeah.
Correct?
That's what it is. Yep. Or don't apply, got nothing else that's eligible. Ask McMahon for a redesign under $25,000 and ask the board to approve that. That's what's on the table.
Jerry, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, to me, this looks like a potential for a big win for the taxpayers. We get the building that this committee and the board approved. It serves the needs of the community for the long term, and we get it for pennies on the dollar, essentially, much less than we could even think about getting a redesigned, much smaller building with less functionality if we get the grant. And to me, the amount of money we're talking here is worth the risk.
So the downside is if we don't get the grant, we have $230,000 spent that we may have to re-spend. if
We may have to spend
redesign.
it again. Maybe not. Yeah, we may have to spend it again. We
We
may,
have to spend it again if we move sites, I think, because
Yeah,
it's the
you're right.
engineering for
You're right.
Lagerquist. If we
You're
didn't
right.
get the grant, then we
You're right.
would have the ability, I think, change the building, maybe substantially, depends. But that, we'd be locked into the Lagerquist site, true.
right.
I guess the other question I have is, I don't know the protocol here, but do we handcuff the board's ability to make a decision here by doing this? And is that our job?
Handcuffed, how so?
This goes to the board then, like this would be a recommendation to the board.
Okay, so this is a recommendation and ultimately the board gets to review or approve it.
Mhm.
Or
Yeah.
approve or reject it.
Right. Now, the gamble on here is, clearly McMahon can't engineer a building by the time the board meets and the grant is due. So there has to be some, I guess, feeling that, yeah, our board is going to support this, because otherwise, I mean, we've seen, right? We discuss stuff at committee level and sometimes it gets to the board and people vote differently. So that's the other element in it, is, do we really feel like our committee members are going to support that decision to have McMahon engineer it, so that when that contract is approved at board level, McMahon would be moving forward in good faith, like, okay, if they're going to do this contract, we know you're in a pinch, we want to help you, we'll start doing some work.
Moving forward with the engineering plans, right? Yeah, okay.
But
Right.
then if committee
Gets to the board
member,
and it gets denied. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
you'll probably never have McMahon do any work for you again,
No,
right?
I get that. I get that. And then if we wind up getting it, we'll get a building that would cost us roughly $1.5 million instead of $3 million.
Right.
Because I go back to, we heard a lot from people about the size and the cost. And I'm going back to that because we listened to them when I went to all the ad hoc meetings, and Denise is right. This was the number, it was the number one, it was the number two choice. I get that, but it was also the size. So, and it was the price too. I mean, it came on the heels of some surprises that they didn't love. All right, I need a motion.
I move that we apply for this grant using the existing board-approved plans on the existing Lagerquist site. And I think anything else that needs to be added to that?
Julie, anything else on that motion that should be added to that?
So it was to move forward with the existing plans on the Lagerquist site,
To apply for the grant.
to apply for the grant, and recommend to the board a contract for engineering and civil site design,
To support
so the
that,
grant can
yeah.
be, so the grant
Right.
can be submitted,
Okay, do I have a second?
grant app can be submitted.
Second,
Okay, I'm gonna poll everybody. Nate, how do you vote?
No,
No, okay. Mike?
No,
Okay, I'm gonna vote yay.
Okay, so you've got 3-2. So we're gonna apply for the grant. We're gonna recommend we're gonna ask Mike.
Well, no, this is going to the board. We're making a recommendation to the board, right?
Right, this is a recommendation to the board.
Yeah.
So, knowing one board member voted against it,
One board member voted against it. Okay. Oh,
yeah, I
sorry,
mean,
just now.
yeah, yeah, because by the time the board meets, well, give me some direction here. Do you want McMahon to see if McMahon will start doing some engineering on it? Do we feel confident it would get support at the board? Or am I going to have McMahon doing some work that our board's going to turn around and say no? Denise?
So from past history, this does not dictate the future. There were two other board members on the ad hoc committee who voted in favor, still believe strongly in the Lagerquist property. And that was Champeau and Harf. And if they hold true to their past convictions, that would give you 4.
I don't disagree with that analysis, Denise.
I don't either.
I mean, if Louise and I vote the same way at the board, right?
I mean, I know everybody's wondering how I'm going to vote. Honestly, this is how I feel right now, and I'll tell you why. Because we're saving the $1.5 million on the original design.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and ask Mike.
Not because I am madly in love with that design. I'll be
Right.
honest. I am not.
Okay, so I'm going to,
You can strike that from the minutes or whatever, but it's a
It's
public
part of
meeting.
the record. It should be part of the record.
But
Denise.
I just
The
think
discussion.
I am trying to be honest.
Sure.
I don't love the design. I've been very honest about that, and I'll be very honest about this. However, I think we might have a decent shot of getting it. So if we don't, now, $235,000 in the hole.
Not necessarily. We still have the opportunity to do a redesign if we don't get it. It just would be on the Lagerquist site.
Yeah, but we're not saving $1.5 million. We're spending another 250. Okay.
yeah.
right.
All right.
I also think you probably should confirm Jerry and Denise's vote. I mean, I think you didn't finish the
I'm
roll.
sorry. I'll poll everyone. Denise,
Yes.
she seconded it. Jerry,
Aye.
Still, it's better to have that.
yeah.
Fine.
Okay.
Proper rules of order, right, Nate?
Yeah. They matter.
So one follow-up question. So spring of 26, we need to wait. It doesn't say what month.
No, so I don't, yeah, I mean, you guys, if you're waiting to hear on the grant set the timeline, it just says, let me read it to you, okay? It just says spring of 26. What it says here is, I'm going to share my screen with you, okay? Or can I share it? Yeah.
Well, it just depends on how they define spring.
You see this?
Yeah.
So they announced it in September. Applications are due the end of the month. Winter, they're doing their initial eligibility review. Eligible projects are ranked. Selected grants are submitted to the State Building Commission. Do they meet code, etc.? Or is this some made-up plan, I suppose? Spring of 26, they approve the awards. After the award, the grants are executed.
Do they give us they don't give us so now we're winter of 26. We don't hear from them on anything, right? Like ask questions,
Are
nothing.
you saying could we hear a negative if we don't get it? Will we hear it before?
I don't know.
spring?
Do we hear anything? I'm wondering. I don't-
Yeah, I think it's a good question.
I don't think you'd hear anything till spring of 26.
Okay.
And again, there's not a lot of details, you guys. These are one of those, so I can't give you more. I know, Mike, you want more, but I can't. It's just not there.
I understand what you're saying about sometimes the state grants are a lot more lightweight
Yeah.
than the federal grants because they don't spend as much time creating them, and that's kind of the point of this, to make sure
It
that
makes
they're
me
ready to
encouraged
go.
that we have a better chance of getting it too.
Yeah.
Do we have any relationships with Kathy Blumenfeld, who's the director there, or anybody in
I don't
that
know, do you?
conversation? I mean, I could send a note to Evers. I've worked with him before.
Do it fast.
He did take credit in his letter for the money he invested in Door County already. So whether or not that's a positive or we already got our box checked, I don't know.
He seems to be here a lot. All right, let's move on. Remember, 2 hours. We've already, what are we now, an hour in? Let me look. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
we're in. Okay. Any more discussion? Okay. We are now on to, this should be quick. 5C, lease, post office, North Bay Shore Drive. Do I have a motion?
So I think there's a couple questions I would have on this.
Yep.
One, it looks like the renewal with the 0 days notice. Does that mean if we recommend, if this gets approved, that we're pretty much, if they want to, they're here till 2041? On page 16 under 4 renewal options. I mean, they're saying, like, I think the 0 days means they can say right up to the last day they can extend it, and we don't have the option to not extend it. Unless I'm missing that somewhere else in there, which I could have.
Yeah, I brought that up last time.
Yeah, it sounds like what they're saying is they can wait until the very last day to tell you, whether they're renewing or not. I mean, it's not giving you like a 30-day notice or a 60-day notice. They get special treatment in that they can give you 0-day notice. Now, does that mean they can just stay up till 2041? No, because you're going to you're going to look at this again in, they can renew it in 2030. So we have to look at this again in 5 years, in 2031, right? We have to look at it again in 36 and maybe in 41.
So, and we're also looking at this contract as this is what the USPS gives you. Either you accept it or there's nothing. Is that, I mean, that's how it's been framed in the past. Is that your understanding, Julie?
Yeah, what we discussed last time was, I have to go back because we've been talking about this one over a year. What we talked about last time was you can't negotiate your term, if I remember right. The only way to negotiate the dollar amount was to get that appraisal done. There are some things in there that you could negotiate. For example, for us, maybe it is air conditioning system. Maybe it's where we say, no, they use excessive amount of AC. They need to put in their own AC system or something, When you look through here, you'll see the things that we obligate ourselves to. And, maybe we say, no, from now on, they have to do all building maintenance or something. We can negotiate that. We have that they are to take care of that bed right in front of the post office, but we do that work on there, right? So those are the types of things we can negotiate on there. So if there's something we feel is not right, let's talk about it and send it back to them.
So I see on the whenever they talk about meters, they say sub meters, which seems like that would be applicable if they weren't taking the whole building.
Right, yeah.
And I guess I'm not comfortable. I'm just saying how I'm not comfortable approving this as is because I don't feel like we've done our due diligence. I understand other people think that appraisal was just a waste of money. I disagree with that. But at the same point, I'm going to bring up these questions anyway that I have on how this is.
Yeah, I'm on the same page, Nate. I think it's disappointing that we're not learning what our asset is worth to charge the post office an appropriate amount and essentially giving them a sweetheart deal. But obviously the board felt different. So, and I'm a strong proponent of having a post office in Sister Bay. So,
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm curious, is there, just having not watched or been at the board meeting, is there something we could have done different as a committee in our recommendation to help the board? I'm just curious for one of the board members to give us a little feedback on that.
I don't think so.
I actually think that finding another municipality that has done this might have been helpful, because I think that's one question that
Okay,
Richard White had brought up. But we're getting kind of late in the game for that. I mean, like, this is at the end of February. This has got to be done, and we're dealing with the USPS, so it's not.
I think they felt like, in my opinion, they felt like even if we got some sort of even if we got an appraisal, they may still push back and, you know what I mean? They just thought, I think they felt like it's useless against them. I don't know. Didn't say that. I'm not suggesting they say it, said it,
yeah,
but
no, I agree.
I think that's more or less what was said.
Yeah, so then back to your point, Nate, how do we make this contract such that we're not locked into an ugly contract till 2041 or whatever? How do we make sure that we at least have good provisions to protect the village asset?
Well, you're only locked in 5 years, right?
Well, but with like the automatic renewal and stuff.
But I guess I'd want to make sure that that does seem like an automatic renewal, but I'm not an attorney, and that I've dealt with plenty of contracts with those renewal clauses in there, and it doesn't look like it gives the landlord a provision to out. It just looks like it is up to the tenant.
do we know that, Julie, or does somebody?
Well, I think it reads the same as it always has, and every 5 years it's been coming back to the board for approval. So
Okay. Okay. Then when is it due?
somebody will have to, hopefully it's pulled up in front of somebody. I'm actually looking for some notes I had on the post office.
Isn't it like February 28th? Or like it's either starts on March 1st or April 1st. So
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be signed so it'll renew in spring, right? So we have to have it done before then.
I'm asking if to see if we have time for, I don't know, if we want to have Randy look at it and see if we can put a clause in there that says, or if we need to put a clause in there, but if they've asked with the way the language is now, if we've been able to, talk with them about a renewal, then
So if I can share some, Nate had some comment about, is there something else maybe we can negotiate on? I don't know if you want me to go through this, but in addition to what that lease says, this is kind of the skinny on what we provide and what they pay for. So we provide the building and the parking, the pest control, repairs from acts of nature, repairs to exterior. In 2025, we budgeted 4,500. In 2024, it was 506. In 2023, it was almost 18,000. And in 2022, we had spent 992. So, it really varies what we're paying to maintain that building. For the coming year, we budgeted 4,000. We pay the insurance. We pay all trash removal. But the lease says they pay, but because people in the park and even the village use the same dumpster, we have not been billing them. If they do not renegotiate the rate, we have the option to stop helping them and maybe have a separate dumpster for them since they are supposed to be paying for that.
So to Nate's point, the contract says not to exceed 25K. Currently, it says 20,565. Could we try to recoup some of those costs by increasing it to 24 or 25K? We stay within the parameters of it, but we get recouped our costs for flower bed maintenance, trash, some of the other things that we're currently paying for.
Well, I think go ahead.
Another idea that just came to my mind, and I'm sure, Julie, you're going to find a reason we can't do this because you know a lot more about this than I do. But I come to think of like fee in lieu of parking. Like it says we can't charge them rent, but if they're having so many spots, we could say, okay, well, you have to pay the fee in lieu of parking for how many spots you need. And that's not rent, that's just a village charge.
that's kind of interesting.
I mean, Julia, is there a leg to stand on there? I mean,
Well, my concern is they'll say, forget it, we're out of here. That's the risk you take. But right, we could come back and say they have to pay for parking. We could do that. One of the risks we have is the public often parks in their parking stalls, which is one of the things that makes them mad, right?
Yeah, and they're well aware. Yep.
Yeah.
And not that they're aware of this negotiation, maybe, I don't know, but they're well aware of the public parks there. Mhm.
If they're paying for their parking, we'd really have to make sure the public's not parking there. But yeah, I think so. I mean, you could look at, like you said, was saying about the dumpster. They're supposed to pay for it. We've been giving them a break. Maybe that stops, and maybe we start charging, maybe we stop. If they don't weed the flower bed, maybe we send them a bill on the flower bed. I mean, there's ways to recoup some of those costs.
Well, if it's in the contract, yeah, why don't we just send them, Joy's bill?
So Randy is now part of a law firm. He's been a part of a law firm for a long time, but I know they've got a number of specialists. I wonder if we ask for a contracting specialist when it comes to the federal government, if they've got somebody that can review that, because we need somebody that, not just an attorney, but somebody that knows the ins and outs of this, to see if there's anything he can recommend on there. And I understand that's not going to be free, but the better job we do on the front end of this, the better off we're going to be in the long term.
Denise,
Yes, it's going to cost us $350 an hour to have somebody look at this. I think we're talking, it's minuscule. It's minuscule. If it says in the contract that they pay for their garbage, then we just start sending them the bill. Okay, if that's what it says.
and have Joy invoices separately for the landscaping.
Well, I think on the landscaping, they're supposed to be doing it. They haven't. So I think we would have to put them on alert. You have not been doing the landscaping per the contract. We're going to start billing you.
Okay.
And that way we just don't have to get an attorney involved and spend money to barely try to recoup it.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm in favor of that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair approach, Julie. How do we make sure that there's continuity over the course of the 5 years with the administrator and staff to make that happen?
Plus, we control it. We're not waiting for them to do something except pay us.
If we're not going to have an attorney review it, then we should just strike the renewal options out of there and just black it out. So it's not even. I disagree with not, when you don't pay for legal review up front, it costs you a lot of money on the back end of it. My experiences in life.
Yeah, I agree, Nate. I think the renewal option, the way I read it, seems like we're locked in if they want to lock us in, and I wouldn't want it in there.
Well, what if we did strike it and initial it and send it back and then let them know that they're going to be billed for certain services that are already in the contract?
Okay, so far I'm seeing that they start paying for a dumpster. We should put them on notification. They're going to be charged for landscaping and then charge them and strike the renewal option on there.
I mean, let's see what they say.
So I have 3 things. Is that it?
Anybody else?
I think something Julie is saying without saying it is, if we're going to ask for something else, we need to do it right now. Otherwise, not have it come next time it comes up.
Yeah.
Is there anything around maintenance or cleaning or?
Well, we just paid to replace their back door that we just bought brand new 2 years ago.
But that
Yep.
falls under that repairs to the exterior, so we had to pay it. Yeah.
Because
They
that's
smashed
around
the
the
back door into the pallet that they brought in there, and they basically broke off the hinges on it, and it cost us almost $955 to repair that door. So if we want to move forward and have them do their own building maintenance, that could be holding them accountable for when they damage our property.
Well, my experience, all of our experience is running an apartment, you give a deposit, and when something like that happened, it comes out of your deposit. They don't do deposits. So that's how most landlords get that.
Okay, I mean, when you add up the stuff, like I said, that 1 year we had exterior repairs in the amount of $18,000. 1 year is 500. You're removing the trash, you're doing the pest control, you're doing the landscaping. I mean, it adds up to quite a bit of work. I mean, I think it adds up. And Jerry, to answer your question about staff changes, it's not just your village staff changes you have to worry about, but it's the postmaster that I think since I've been here, I think we're on the fourth postmaster, maybe. It seems to rotate quite a bit. And each one remembers or knows different things about the contract, right?
And
So-
also, wasn't the postmaster was somewhat involved in it? I mean, like they changed the whole policy on how the post office deals with contracts in that timeline too, right? Because there's that guy in Denver that's now the point of contact.
Yeah, that wasn't the postmaster. That was
Yeah,
the
that wasn't
federal-
Emil. Yeah.
But I'm saying like that's another thing that has changed in the
Right.
last 4 years.
Correct. Yep. Where they have to get a person like a real estate fee off of it now, off the lease. Okay, so is this a recommendation to the board then for those three things?
Does anyone have anything else?
The only thing I would, following up on what Eric stated, I guess if you can talk about exterior maintenance, and that would be normal wear and tear, and if they damage something because of something that they did, then I think we should add wording to that nature and use the door as an example. If they are the ones that had an accident with a pallet, well, then it should not be our $1,000 responsibility.
I mean, it says there if that we're not responsible for negligent actions by an employee, I believe in there. So I wonder if that's the case, but maybe philosophically we should look at this as saying you're renting the entire building, you have to take care of the building, we're not taking care of maintenance for it. You're getting it as is. And I don't know that they're gonna like that or not, but I think that might be the viewpoint I think I hear everybody saying.
Yeah, I just don't see the spot in the contract where we would change the wording, but maybe I'm not looking at it closely enough.
It would be a lot of different places, I think, Jerry.
Yeah, which gets back to we would need an attorney to do that for us.
Well, it talks about on page 15, a maintenance rider.
Which packet page are you on, Denise? Sorry, I don't.
15,
15?
yeah, and it says the maintenance of these items is governed by the maintenance rider landlord responsibility attached to this lease, the maintenance rider. So I'm scrolling down.
Yeah, I think the maintenance rider was down in the 30s maybe, but I didn't see any language that was clear to me. $31 is maintenance rider landlord responsibility.
Yep.
I think to Nate's point, that first sentence kind of covers it where we could bill them for it because it was negligence of postal service agents or employees. Damage directly from agents or employees' negligence. So it would be the responsibility. So it sounds like we could bill them for the door under the existing language.
Yep. All right, find the bill and send it to them.
Will do.
So we have those three changes by Julie. Do we need a motion on that? Or are there any other things? Or do we have consensus and move on?
Yeah, I just think that staff either has to have a conversation with the committee or the administrator on when there is maintenance being done and who's paying for it. Moving forward.
Right, we have to take the action. They won't, so they get billed.
Right.
So Eric, if you can monitor that or just make us aware in your reports. And then make Vlad aware, or I guess, yeah, for billing purposes, right?
And we'll
Yes.
need Joy to differentiate where she's billing, right? Because I don't know if she does differentiate.
She
between
does not. I don't think she does, so we have to
Okay.
ask her to do that. Yeah.
You know what, though? Joy is not under contract to do anything there. So right now, the way it was presented to the committee is everything she was doing was on a volunteer basis. So we can't really turn around and bill them for that work that's being done. Just,
Oh, she wasn't billing us for post office bed anything?
no.
No, she volunteers, so that'll mean that's gonna change, but yeah.
Well, she can bill us now knowing that the post office will pay for it.
Yeah, I think it's something to look at when we revisit that in spring.
Uh-huh.
Look at it to keep that in mind.
Yep.
That maybe she volunteers, but any work for the post office, we get billed.
Yep.
Now you do keep them, you know, you have to keep in mind, they may not maintain that flower bed to the degree we like. And
Right, no, that's why we still just send them a bill. We'll just do it. We
Right.
send the
They're
bill.
not gonna wanna do it, no
then
way.
I think that's one of the changes you make to that contract is they do not have to maintain it, but they will pay the bill to maintain it.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, they're not gonna wanna do that.
Do you know where that would go, Julie? Is that number 8 landscaping on 35?
I'd have to pull it back up, Jerry. I was trying to move on because
Okay, yeah.
landscaping. It's the last page of the,
Yeah, 35 bullet 8.
yep.
So if I got this right, I think what we're saying in the motion would be something to the effect that we're voting on approving the agreement as it's currently been proposed.
I think recommending to the board to
And
approve, right?
excuse me, Rex, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, Jerry. We are recommending to the board that they approve the contract as it's written and simultaneously taking action to invoice the post office as allowed by the contract for damage and maintenance services as defined by the contract.
As
we
well as
have that?
striking the renewal.
Pardon me?
As well as striking the
Oh,
renewal.
good one. And as well as, and what does that cap it at then? 5 years?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that's what we said.
Okay, item 5D, letter of intent, housing development, Ava Hope
Do
in
we need a
Northwood.
motion or do we have consensus or
Was
on the
that,
post office contract?
I'm sorry, was that a motion? Go back. Mike made a motion, right? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh,
I
I'm
would
sorry.
second- I'll
Oh.
second it.
Who seconded that? Sorry.
That was Louise,
Uh, Or Louise, whoever.
whoever. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And you got the motion? Sarah, you're good with that? Okay. Okay, 5D, like, yeah, David, letter of intent and housing development, Ava Hope in Northwoods.
Didn't we do that already? Or what we had was just a recommendation to consider? And now it's the same thing, just a letter of intent? Is that what's happening here?
But so each committee had to weigh on, you know, this committee weighed in on, hey, do you think we'd be willing to recommend we trade this property in exchange for someone developing it or gift it, I should say.
So
the
before we
committee-
approved, yes, we're open to the idea. Now this is formalizing that with a letter of intent.
Right, this is saying, because why would Tim invest any money in plans and blueprints unless there was something saying, yes, if you do this, we will give you this.
Yeah, I'm just working to understand how many times we say yes to something. I
I know.
understand
No, I'm
that.
keeping track.
I make a recommendation to the village board that we issue a letter of intent to Tim Holbrook Builders.
Second,
Is the conditions based on, because I mean, that's one of the questions that Randy ended up coming up with is what are the conditions on there? Can we pull the conditions from last month's meeting? Because I think there was a pretty good discussion on that.
I had talked with Randy about that. No, those conditions that we had were all that's so this is saying, hey, if you get a favorable or if you get a development agreement approved, we're going to gift and get your permits, we're going to gift you this land. That's separate from it, Nate, because through the development agreement process, there's going to be, as usual, negotiations. And he may not get an approved development agreement, so that would, kill the deal. But that development agreement process is going to look at the site plan review process. Do we want changes to the park area, to a trail here, etc.? And he may have a good reason why he doesn't want that or doesn't think that should be there. That's all part of that development thing. The part with Randy or the letter of intent is saying, if you get through that, if you get an approved development agreement, we will turn the deed over to you. So the letter of intent isn't going to spell out all the details that a development agreement would.
But I thought it was going to take into incorporation like what the committees had recommended. That was my understanding from my conversation. So, okay, okay.
Yeah, that would, no. Because those were just recommendations. He may not even agree to them. And the plan commission may not even agree to those or the board.
Okay,
Chris,
so what's the motion that I just want to make sure I'm on the same page.
Denise just gave it. Mhm.
So
You want to read it, Sarah, please? Oh, you don't have it. Okay, Denise, you want to make a motion again?
My motion was that we recommend to the village board to issue a letter of intent to Tim Holbrook Builders.
okay, and Denise, the question I have is, if that's our recommendation, and I don't really have an issue with it, but if this goes to planning, is that our authority to do that? I'm not sure. I'm not sure
Goes to
why.
the board.
So it's going to come from multiple committees because every committee that
Okay.
touches it.
Okay, well,
It's not a
Thank you.
final recommendation, but it's an official recommendation from Parks. Correct me if I'm wrong, Julie.
Yeah, so we're done with the recommendations from Housing and Parks. The one that's going to bring the recommendation to the board on the
we'll
development
be
side
planning.
would be planning.
Okay,
This is the last one that this committee will make.
okay. I
Second.
second the motion.
Okay, the second is from Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, agenda number, where are we? Policy and fee schedule, park system reservations. So before we begin that, I'm going to remind everybody that it is currently 2:37. So this one may take some conversation. The orchard agreement, commemorative benches will take some discussion. H, not so much. So clearly we are going to go beyond 3 p.m. or we're gonna, I will ask for a motion to to adjourn, or there's some of this stuff we're not, or we're going to go well beyond 3 p.m. Just so everybody's aware.
I think you've got to do staff reports and matters to be placed on a future agenda.
Okay, well, I mean, yeah, but there's other stuff. So, policy and fee schedule, park system reservations, E.
So I have a question for Julie. In your report, you state that staff believes two groups have learned how to work around that policy. Can you explain that so I understand that a little bit better as we have this conversation?
Sure. So that's a different reservation. It's not the form you have in here, but so let me just explain here. A couple years ago, we had, but I shouldn't say a bunch, but people were arguing about the pickleball courts. They couldn't get in there. So we basically said, hey, the pickleball club can have exclusive use at a certain time. And then we limited, said no other groups could get them and come in and do these massive reservations, right? So what we got is, I wish I had this on my screen, but it's on my desk. I'm looking at a paper, but so what we got was an application from a guy by the name of Jeff Stang, females. It says Jeff Stang, females. And then the other name on that was Christine Nelson. And they reserved it May 26th to September 1st, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 to 9 a.m. And then we got another one that was called Advanced Pickleball Group. And that was, we think it's the same group because the email on this one is jstang843. And they reserve every Monday, Wednesday, Friday from May 26th to September 5th from 8 to 10. So we didn't want people blocking it out so nobody else could use it. And I think that's what they're still doing.
Oh,
And
yeah, for sure they are. Yeah.
I mean, I
They're
just
still
want to show
paying
you.
the fees, Julie?
They are. And then we had this Mr. Stang came in today, actually, I think it was today. Sarah, was that today? And said, hey, I want to reserve for next summer already. And we're like, Sarah and I've had conversations where we're like, this isn't right. Nobody can use that pickleball court.
I thought we
want
talked
to bring this.
about, when during the reservations, I thought we talked about they couldn't reserve like more than 30 days in advance or something, but maybe I misremember.
No, but we did talk about that today, Jerry. We're like, we need to make something like they can't reserve more than a certain period of time. Because I'm not sure if this will hold up, but I just want to kind of show you what ends up happening.
Basically, one group under different names is locking out the court for
Yeah.
the
Yeah, so
majority of the
you
season.
can't read this, but all this is blocked out. That's one group. That isn't supposed to be a group. There's another one, isn't supposed to be a group. And then I got the pickleball people who were allowed to do it. So
They're
those
all the same people on the list. Is that what you're saying?
they're saying people just coming in
Yeah,
in my opinion,
I,
the pickleball thing needs to be looked at because if you want to play tennis, you can't get out there. And if you just want to randomly go out there and play pickleball in Sister Bay, it's not going to happen. You know, it's really, so that's one thing you have to look at. That's not going to happen today. This one today was, the big questions, of course, were we have to look at fee schedules. Are these fees, these rental fees, what we still want to be paying? Village Hall is still $30 an hour, etc. The one question I always had when I talked to Sarah is when you go to, you know, our rental reservation thing, we talk about tented events and what those cost. But we don't talk about what an untented event costs, you know, so we're missing some things in our fee schedule. So anyways, that was on here. And then, of course, as part of that conversation, we also have to look at that policy where we wanted something, you know, if you're going to reserve the pavilion or, and I put, or some other thing, and you are a for-profit or an individual, what does that look like? So I came up with this draft policy here, which you guys have to discuss and review. Due to time constraints, you don't have to do it now, but I did finish it for you. And you have to come up with the use fee on that as well. So
I mean, at first blush to me, not renting venues, so not knowing it, this seems like our prices are very inexpensive. And I'd be in favor of maybe having these prices for village residents and double it for external, but that's just my first blush reading of it.
The challenge with that, Jerry, is you're always going to have, I mean, I guess it's something that happens is people are going to find a local, a resident to apply for it. Maybe that's not a bad thing because that means that it's got a tie to the village. But that absolutely does happen. I also think that there's a couple things that I look back in the last summer and think like, okay, well, these are some challenges we've got to overcome. One is the 4th of July. We had a tent at Marina for, I believe, 5 or 6 days that was up there. And I'm going to guess that they just got charged for one event on that. And they were way beyond what the disruption to the village isn't worth the amount of money. I mean, this isn't very much money that we're asking for here. I don't
Yeah,
think
I think Nate, on that one real quick, didn't we discuss prior not renting for the major weekends, Fall Fest, 4th of July, Memorial, Labor Day, as just like nobody can rent it then? Or
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the time we say that though, like when we're
Okay,
putting these
okay,
rules
got
in
it.
place. That's,
Yeah,
um, and also the other one is there was a event this July that we approved that was done for a a nonprofit that was really just somebody finding a nonprofit, say, okay, well, you can attach our name to this. Um, that was a little bit of a challenging event. I mean, I guess I don't know that they got the proceeds from that event. I mean, I guess we have to assume that they did because that's what was stated. But I see that as being a little bit maybe not what we intended.
All
yeah, I
right,
think there was a
so,
lesson learned there.
well, there's a few things on the table. One is, do these, I mean, do these rates make sense? And I think you have in order to figure that out, I think we've got to see what they look like in other places, or, because they do seem lower to me. And I think a flat rate, for instance, for Village Hall, a flat rate is what it should be. I don't think it should be hourly. That's just me. Denise, did you want to say something? Sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just waiting until you were done. The only one that I felt that was maybe out of line, um, is the gazebo. We put on the nice addition, hopefully next year, we will finish, the upgrades to it. And it is, so if somebody wants to rent that, that really is taking away from the rest of the public in the park now that it's much bigger on utilizing it. So I think that we should increase at least by doubling. That's kind of the only one that I felt was that needed some attention. And I'd also written down not renting out, having tented events or any kind of events on holiday weekends. I'd written that down because that had come up before. But other than that, I felt everything was okay. And if you don't want to do the village hall by the hour, that's okay too. It's just by the day.
I just figured with Village Hall that we do between 100 and 150 bucks a day. Because chances are whoever's going to rent it's going to rent it for 3 or 4 hours. If it's 30 bucks an hour, that's $120, fine. If it's $150 as a flat fee, you're not losing money, you're not making, it's fine. It's going to be what it is. Then it's easier to just, that's it. So if they're
Okay.
all flat fees, and I agree, the gazebo could be more. I said 100, 150 is fine. I thought TKH could be more, but let's wait and see what happens with the ice rink and stuff, because then that would be appropriate. Maybe not now. Maybe
Right.
75 is fine. And the ball fields, I mean, let's face it, the ball fields are gonna be for little kids. So 50 bucks a day for a little kid to have a baseball party or something is good. And I agree on no rentals on holidays. I think that's fine.
Holidays or SPAA events?
And SBA events, because usually, well, it depends on the size of the event, but it's usually not available, yeah. As far as nonprofit and profit, the use fees, uh,
This goes back to that tax thing we kept saying we'd
right,
revisit.
right. I
Right.
thought,
So it's the fee is the fee. And then
and if they're
if
for
we have
profit,
to
they pay
charge,
tax.
right. If it's an
Yeah,
individual, they pay tax.
because we don't have
We
any
put
choice.
that
We have
on.
to, right? We don't, it's not like we want to, we have to.
Right.
And nonprofits don't.
Okay.
Okay.
So Denise, you'd see this more than I have. I mean, I go down there a lot and I see them, but it seems like the tented events at Marina Park in particular go a lot longer than the days that they're set for. And I think that we've had discussions about that in past years, at least at the board level. I wonder if we should be charging for the event and then every additional day that it's up, because it's not just, I mean, I look at the charge as recouping for the loss of public use. And if that tent is up for 5 days, they may have an event for one day, but it's taking away from public use for 5 days.
Well, I know that there were some issues a couple of years ago where we kept security deposits. I, for some reason, I don't remember it being trash, or anything like that. but I thought it was because the tents were up too long and they kept the security deposit. So if we want to, if it is, you know, we're saying 4 days, then maybe you just have to increase the fee. But if we don't do it on holidays,
It's
is it less of an issue?
it's still 4 days that the public's not able to use it. Or not as a much limited use anyway. I mean, depending on how they set up in Marina Park, it can be the average citizen may not realize, oh, I can just go walk here anyway. You know, it's sometimes how it's set up, it is people don't feel like they have the right to be in that park, which they still do, just in a limited fashion.
Right. Well, granted, so Waterfront Park, you know, is 1,900, and then July and August is 3,500. And I don't know that because of that fee structure that we have had many tented events. Am I correct,
That's
Julie?
right. Yeah, I haven't seen many besides, the Pacers.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's, and I think so you're assuming this is for tented events and we're not talking about untented. I don't have the list of reservations in front of me, Sarah. I don't know if you have access to them. Because there are other events that they may not be tented. I don't think there's many. But like we had, dancers were out there. Remember the dancers?
That
Northern
was
Shore Pride does some things out there.
Yeah, those are festivals. I mean, those are not like private,
Yeah, you're right,
those are
Louise.
public.
You're right.
So, but private people, using it, I think we have very few renting it.
Well, and I think we have to make a note then if this is not a festival, is this a festival rate?
Yeah, I mean, if it's open to the public, it's enhancing the community.
I mean, I think these
So
are
if we don't want people to be, and this is a conversation that we keep coming back to every so many years. If we do not want to tie up our public waterfront, then you put on a higher fee, like the 3,500 for Waterfront Park in July and August, and nobody wants to rent it. That's the decision that we have to make. You make the fee large enough that very few people will want to spend that. And because we value the public use of it more than we do the rental income. That's the choice we make, one or the other.
I think does the rental income benefit the public more than the access to the park? That's how I mean, very, very similar to what you're saying, Denise, but that's how I frame it in my head. Because there's some public good to the village getting some money.
But I think to Denise's point, when you look at Waterfront Park anyway, in July and August, there's very few.
So let's just say we increase Marina Park to $3,500. I suspect that Waterfront Park would start getting rented out then if it's an equal price. People are saying, okay, I want to be by the waterfront. I can spend $2,500 over here, $3,500 over here. People are going to consistently choose the $2,500. Plus, it's a little bit more private and secluded. I mean, people don't just wander through Marina Park like they would at the waterfront.
Right.
I think that we increase both the waterfront park and the Marina Park for July and August, and we also add a per day tent fee. So you get 1 day of having the tent there, and if you're more than 1 day, then it's $500 a day for every additional day that tent is up.
Well, except that for tent rental companies, having rented them many times, if it's a big one, it has to come the day before because it takes them that long to set it up.
And that has been the conversation in the past.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It's not the person who's having the event's fault, but it takes time to set it up. And there's nobody there. There's no event there or people there.
No, but I think you're right, Louise. It's typically a 3-day deal. Day before, have the event, day after. The
Well,
tent's
And then you wait for them to come pick it up.
right.
Sometimes
And
they don't come.
it used to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then because no tent company would come on a Sunday, we extended it to Monday.
Right, that's why this says Friday through Monday. Yep.
Yep.
And they will not come on a Sunday to pick it up. You're right.
So if they, for $500, they might push somebody to do it.
They won't do it, Nate. They don't have people to do it.
So
I mean,
again,
this-
we're losing it for
having
that many
been-
days to public access. That's where I get what you're saying, but you're talking about what the person who's renting the space is experiencing. I'm saying what's the public experiencing?
I understand.
Okay, the public is also experiencing, even in Marina Park, smaller weddings, let's say 75 to 100 people, there's no parking. So now they're congesting everything. Maybe we just get rid of it and we stop renting it out. Because
I
public
think that's,
doesn't
I
like
think
that
that's
either.
worth considering because we only have about 12 really good weekends, right? I mean, the premier weekends, 3, 6, 9, 12.
At the most.
Yep, a few. I mean, I hear why you'd say that. I because there's only so many sunsets that people get to watch.
Yeah. Not to mention every time we come up with rules like this, staff has to actually implement them. And
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're certainly not easy to work for at times when we come up with these rules.
And I don't know if there's anything on the books for next year, Sarah.
Probably. I bet there is.
I'm working with one couple in October for a wedding, but they haven't sent payment and they haven't decided anything.
October of 26.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's normal.
That's
Okay.
pretty blustery.
I'm not really sure if there's anything else I can take a look. There may be something else, but I can certainly take a look.
And we could honor something that's on the books if we change it and
Yeah.
ask the board to approve it. But I mean, that would be my take.
Yeah, we'd want to honor the fee that was quoted to them when they applied for it.
But right now, we don't look like we have any reservations for next year, but yeah, I'm fine with not renting Marina Park. Fine with me.
Okay.
I had a question as well. This couple that was wanting to rent in October, they wanted it for 2 days. So the fee that is quoted for them in October for Marina Park is $1,900, I believe, a day. Is that for the day or the event, the weekend?
It's $1,500 a day.
1,500, so it would be $3,000.
Well, actually, it says the cost is Friday through Monday, so it's $1,500
For the
For
weekend.
4 days.
for 4 days. So we want to recommend removing Marina Park from rentals.
Or you can do it in July and August. And you can change, you can not have any events in Marina Park in July and August. You could change it where we have May, June, September, and October. We could change the months that we would approve it there.
Okay, what does everybody want to do?
Stop running Marina Park in July and August. What I'd like to see us do.
That's fine with me.
Yep, I agree with that.
Okay.
I
Right.
do. I do
Right.
too.
All right, so remove Marina Park for July and August, okay. And then is it still $1,500 for 4 days in May through October?
I think it should be more than that if it's 4 days.
$2,000?
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess my question, Eric, is you've got some labor involved in that process there. I mean, what does it take from your guys' crew to deal with a rental there?
In Marina Park, it probably takes me about 2.5 hours to mark out the sprinklers. Then I usually tend to go down and meet with the tent company for about an hour. Just going over things, trying not to make them stake where they're not supposed to be staking. There could be some miscellaneous stuff. People have questions. I mean, I'm dealing with the wedding event that'll be taking place, I believe, this Friday. They had questions regarding vendors and porta potties. So, it's a little bit of time. Not too overwhelming. It's mostly just protecting our infrastructure inside those facilities.
Yeah, and then who's watching to see when they're actually here and there? I mean, like when they're coming, is that something your guys do, Eric, or is that?
That's mostly me, but some event coordinators are better than others of notifying me. I really like to get out there and go over with the tent companies. We had a tent company I believe it was in June, had everything marked out, and they still hit our sprinkler lines because they didn't call me, and they have young high school kids who don't understand what a blue line on the grass means. So there are these failures in communication, but that's why we hold their deposits and then they pay for that.
I guess the other thing is I think $1,000 deposit's not enough anymore. I mean, I'm guessing we gave that person the deposit back from the 4th of July.
Would that have been in Marina Park?
Yeah.
That was the one who struck the sprinkler line. After that, my labor in fixing that repair sprinkler line, yeah, we took that fee out of that.
Yeah, they didn't get the whole thing back. Because we deducted Eric's time out of there.
No, I had to track my hours and the material that I was used to make that repair.
I also think that we should, part of that, getting the deposit back is if they hit the timeline they did, because they were really long. I want to say it was 5 days in total they were set up there. So it's not just if you don't damage something, but also if you do what you say you're going to do. I don't think we spelled that out in our policy.
Because of the holiday. Yeah, I think you were right. They were there for 5 days. Probably because that tent company wasn't available to go get their tent.
Yeah, they won't be.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying is the tent company's not there, Luis, but
I
that's
don't know what to tell you. Been
Then
through
they
it a
shouldn't
million
be there.
times.
Then who rents it pays more. I think.
As long as
making
they
it-
just know what the rules are.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
make it so waterfront and marina aren't rentable in July and August. Maybe take the fees that we have for July and August and mark those as the fees for May, June, September, October. Have the deposit and use the deposit to cover late setup or takedown or what damage. And I think then we're there.
Denise?
So I think we should add a caveat that outside of the 4 days that the fee is, if your tent is there, it's an automatic $500 additional, like what happened that you're referencing. I think if we're doing Marina Park, May, June, September, and October up to 2,000, then I think Waterfront Park needs to be 2,500. And do we really want somebody else in Waterfront Park for $3,500 in July and August? Do we just do it?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I would pull waterfront as well
Okay.
for July. and
I
August.
agree with that, except I was just wondering if that was there for community, or what kind of event will we even allow in the park that's not a community event or festival?
I
A
don't
wedding.
know.
A
I
wed-
don't know that one in Waterfront Park. I don't know that we've ever had one besides dance, and the Pacers is in September. I'm not aware of one
Well, I don't need to prolong the discussion. That's way too crowded to begin with.
besides a concert, but that's the SBAA.
I think it's all SBAA, but I don't have my calendar in front of me.
Yeah, but I
Nice.
definitely wouldn't rent it July and August.
Do a
So-
check-in, see where you're at I'm sorry, Mike, before we have more conversation, because I'm kind of getting lost. So the gazebo fee, the gazebo is going to go up to $150 a day, right?
Yes.
yes.
That's we talked about.
No tented or non-tented events on holiday weekends or during an SBA event.
Yep.
Right.
Nonprofit, et cetera, everybody gets charged the same, but the for-profit pays the tax. Okay. We're not going to rent Marina Park or Waterfront Park, whether it's tented or untented, in July and August.
Yep.
A deposit will not be returned if a tent is up more than 4 days.
Well,
Well,
I think it was-
I think you have to write it in there for outside of those 4 days, it's additional $500.
$500 a day for every day outside the 4 days.
Here's my concern on that, just to give you a heads up. They might just say, okay, well, we'll just pay 500 and leave it up so they can have
Yeah.
it there.
I think that's a legitimate concern. I would actually just charge them the day rate for every additional day that the tent's there. mean, that might motivate them to get on their contractor to get it out of there.
So you're saying it'd be $2,500 a day beyond that? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, well, I thought the language basically allowed them, if they had a weekend, they get, how many days did we say?
Or
Friday through Monday.
Yeah, I mean, and we're charging them how much per day for those 4 days already?
$2,500 at Waterfront Park and 2,000 at
Per
Marina
day,
Park.
per day.
No,
it'd be like
No.
$500
$625.
a day.
No,
So it's not 10 grand. It's,
no, it's $2,500 for 4 days in Waterfront Park, $2,000 for 4 days at Marina Park.
I just think that the penalty for staying needs to be significant, or I think Julie's right. They're gonna just, if you're spending a pile of money on a wedding,
Okay, $1,000 a day.
Okay.
Julie, Village Hall is $150 a day.
Hold
Just a
on,
flat.
I don't think we should change that. $200 a day is still not very much for it.
Agree with Nate.
All right, then it's not hourly, $200 a day. Okay.
I'll tell you from a staff perspective, I think why you don't rent that Village Hall is it's not a good facility. Let's face it, there's not easy access, it's not comfy, there's no speaker, and so people tend to not rent it. $30 is a lot for a not a good facility.
$30 an hour.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't hold a meeting there I wouldn't pay $30 to meet there for an hour. You have no AV, it's not you don't have comfortable chairs, you don't have heat half the time, we have to walk forever to go to the bathroom. I have no privacy. I don't think it's a good meeting facility.
There's bathrooms in the building, but so do you think that we should lower the price?
I think if you lowered it, you'd get more civic groups going in there and actually see more use out of the building.
Well, from a meeting standpoint, the other two meeting places are the fire station. The large one's 50 and the small one's 25. So I think what
Right,
you're
but
saying
those-
is $50 a day.
those are buildings that are properly heated and air conditioned,
Okay.
and the Village Hall has no air.
Right. I know.
Wouldn't you
So-
rather go to the fire? I mean, I'd go to the fire for $20 extra. I'm going to wait and go to the fire station where I have warm bathrooms, air, AV, privacy.
All right. So I think you're saying $30 a day for Village Hall. I don't know. Tell me, what do you think?
I think it's way too much. I think it should be $15 actually.
Well, then
Well-
just make it free.
So this is a
Jesus.
totally different venue though, because you've got an entire building there. The events that could happen at the Village Hall versus what happening at the fire station are very different.
Yes. Yes. And in the winter, when we have to turn up that heat, it costs us a fortune.
Eric, how often do we turn the heat up in there though?
Only when there's actual events going on in there. We typically will go in there the next day and turn it back down.
I mean, right now the requests we had were somebody wanted to do yoga in there. She wanted to have yoga classes.
Let's just leave it the way that it is.
We've had a few family reunions in there and a few,
Yeah, I
things
think
like
for the
that.
bigger, I think for the bigger events, $200 is fair. I mean, it's small town America, go in the old town hall, and I mean that's what it should be, right?
All right, then we'll just leave it at $30 an hour and go from there.
All right. Okay,
Right,
so
that
then
stays the same.
okay, so then deposit not returned if more than deposit not returned if more than 4 days plus $1,000 a day, or was it $1,000 just no matter?
$1,000 a day.
And
No
they
matter
take
That's
it
what I
from-
have.
Okay.
take it from their deposit if they've got it. And if it's more than that, they get billed it.
Okay, and then Waterfront Park is $2,500 a day. Marina Park is $2,000 a day. And those are the only changes we have on the schedule, right?
I have a question about the fire station. Is that really for a whole day? Is that just, we're doing that for scheduling reasons, or because you can't, it's not a very common day you can rent the fire station for the full day anyway.
I know that's crazy, huh? You could really tie it up.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
do we really want that to be a day, or do we want to set that in a 2-hour block or something? I mean, what are these? I mean, I think that you've got quilters and knitters that are there sometimes that are there for I don't know, probably 3 or 4 hours, but
But then you'd have to do it hourly. I don't know how else you'd do it.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you keep the fees where they are and you do 2-hour blocks.
Well, if it's an 8-hour day, right? Then $4 an hour. I don't,
well, but I mean, who's
Or more.
renting it for a full day for $50? I think that more realistically, they're renting it for a couple hours and they're paying the $50, but they're not getting it for the whole day.
right. But are you suggesting that it's tying it up and somebody else may want to use it? Is that the point? I don't know.
I'm saying if I came there and I rented that and I went to Sarah and said, okay, I'm going to pay you $50 for the day. Well, what the heck? I don't have it for the whole day. I want it for the whole day, block it off. You know that, and I don't think that's what we want. That's what we intend for it to be, how to be used in that big block of time. It doesn't match what's actually happening, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, so keep in mind, you're gonna go rent a Cold Village Hall for $30 an hour, and you're gonna pay 50 for 24 hours, basically, in a nice warm fire station. It's not right.
I mean, do you want it $50 a day? Or sorry,
I was
not
saying $50 for
station?
2 hours, $25 for 2 hours is how I saw what made sense to me, because I think that's how long people are usually renting it for thereabouts. Is
I
that
agree.
accurate, Sarah, or am I?
I agree with Nate, and your pickleball courts are in 2-hour blocks too, so that makes sense. I mean, is somebody there policing it, kicking them out? No, but we're trying to keep it so we can rent it to more people and that they're actually paying for the time and not tying it up.
Okay,
Okay.
well, and that brings me to the last thing, which is the pickleball courts. That seems to be a problem. So I think $10 for a 2-hour time block. I think you double it. It's $10 an hour. For the pickleball courts, you can still get tennis for $10.
Okay, so the pickleball will be $10 an hour. But what is tennis?
No, she
Ten-
said that pickleball would be more and tennis would be 10, pickleball would be 20. I thought that's
Well,
what.
it's $20 an hour?
$20 for a 2-hour time block. And tennis would be $10 for a 2-hour time block. It would
Right.
still stay the same for tennis, and pickleball is doubled. Saying that they're taking advantage and abusing the system, manipulating the system.
And I do think we should revisit that next month.
Can I ask, is there no open, do we block out time where citizens can just walk up and wait their turn and play a game? Is
I
that?
think that's a good point. I think you can block
That's
out time where it's
possible
not
anymore?
available and it's first come, first served. And guess what's going to happen? But that's what you can do. Yeah.
Well, and that's the problem, Mike, is people that come here, a family decides to go play pickleball, or you come here, people just decide to go get some exercise. You can't because it's always tied
Right.
up.
Right. I mean, I had that experience. And I guess I wondered maybe if we're gonna, I agree with potentially increasing the rates for large groups, but maybe we have to block out the premier times for our citizens just to go and have open pickleball like you do a lot of communities. It's first come, first serve. You play a game and you rotate out.
I think that's a good idea, Mike, and I don't think that's something we ever discussed.
I think that's a
Denise?
real good idea.
Denise,
So how about the only time that you can rent the tennis or pickleball courts is until noon? All scheduling happens before noon. You're out of there at noon. And from noon on, it's open play, first come, first serve. That's it.
I don't know. I'm not a pickleball player, so I don't know how many games or a tennis player or anything else, how many games you could get in, but yeah.
Well, I'm an old pickleball player, so it's not many.
Yeah.
But
and
I
we
think
have two
people like
courts.
the morning because it's a little cooler in the summer, but the afternoon would be better in the fall. So it's probably a good suggestion.
Yeah, because right now it's being reserved from 8 to 10, 9 to 11, and 8 to 9.
Yeah,
they're
the pickleball
watching
players
money.
will want it in the morning when it's cooler and the court's a little cooler.
Well, then up until noon sounds like it would work.
What time does it open in the morning?
It's always open.
Yeah.
Okay, so we should bookend the reserve time though, maybe 8 o'clock to noon. And if somebody local wants to get up early, they could go early and get a game or two in.
I mean, maybe you only take reservations, yeah, from 8 to noon, like we were saying, and maybe it's only certain days you're taking those reservations. Okay.
Yeah, maybe not on the weekend.
So I do think we need to look at that policy next time, but for now, for the fee part of it, I do have $20 per 2-hour block pickleball, $10 for tennis. Okay. By consensus, is everybody okay with all those?
Yeah.
Okay, that'll go to the board then.
One quick thing on the contract, it says in the event of an emergency, contact the Parks and Streets Director. Could we include an email or phone number? Because it doesn't
Okay,
state
so-
on here.
Okay, so now we're going on to the policy, Louise.
I don't know, there's like the contract or whatever. Yeah.
Okay,
The
so
agreement.
this is what's in, starting on page 38, addresses that concern we had this fall. So this is something new for us. I was supposed to put something together. The reason why I didn't put it on there is because things seem to change quite a bit here. We are gonna, so we have contact the Parks and Streets Director to determine where the AED, we can put his email on here. Usually we hand him a business card, but because it's mentioned elsewhere in here that they have to get a hold of him.
Yeah, because I mean, a text is probably better, especially, I mean, he's not always going to be looking at his or email stuff, but just contact info is what I was going to suggest.
Yeah, we can put his contact information on here.
And then I would ask for the applicant's not just signature, but also email.
Isn't that at the top?
I'm sorry, I'm on the last page of the application where they sign applicant signature. And then if other than an applicant name and contact information for individual responsible for answering questions, blah, blah, blah.
Go to the first page, it asks for their name, address, phone number, email.
Okay, it's just that we also asked for the phone number on this page too. Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
So
we
the
can-
email's there. Okay. Okay,
On page 38, there's just a typo in the bold where it says this application must be submitted. The word adequate and the second line is spelled wrong.
Ah,
Say, I had a question regarding the rental of the fire station. Say, up until now, nonprofit groups at the start of the year, they pay, say, $50 for the rental of the fire station, the large room. They pay once, and that reserves the room for the entire year. Is that something that we do? Is that,
well, apparently it is.
I mean, it's, right,
We're
I mean,
doing it now.
I mean, that's what I've been told.
Then that's something we do, I guess.
So for
maybe
example,
that-
the knitters, it's a
Yeah.
nonprofit group and they pay one yearly fee of $50 and so they're in there on
Why don't
that
you give us a
2 days.
list of the people that are in there that rented for the year and what they pay, and we can talk about it next time.
Okay, that sounds good.
Great.
okay, so let's look at the actual meat of that rental agreement. So we've discussed or I'm not sure, we've discussed the security deposit on the pavilion. But we've also talked about user fees. We kind of talked about that above, okay? But then, for example, on page, so I've added stuff in here we're not used to doing. So I'm asking for video links. Are we okay with that? I'm asking for references. Are we okay with that?
Fine with me.
Security, I'm asking for different stuff on porta potties, decorations and staking, alcohol, food. Those are all things we haven't talked about before. And then I also highlighted the numbers. Are you okay with security kicking in at 200 or restrooms at 100? So this has a lot more for us to look at and discuss. So
I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the food trucks, they'll have a certificate. They just need to bring that with them.
Well, for an SBA event, Louise, but otherwise we don't allow the food trucks. We don't allow.
No,
food
but but you said all food stations, food stations, I beg your pardon, require approval by the Door County
Oh.
Public Health.
Yeah.
And
Yes, my concern there is, sometimes you get people maybe their friend is putting together a truck and they're going to pull it up during their concert or something. No, it's to make it very clear, the food truck is not going to be here unless it's the one that can be regulated by the
and
public.
unless it's an event, they're not allowed to be down there anyway, so, okay. Nate, did you have a question?
Well, I mean, I think that these are all well-intended things on here, but can we really do this? And do we get ourselves in trouble if we say, we want you to send us a video link and we don't like what you have because of your content? I think that gets us into a lot of trouble. And I guess I'm not saying we can't do it, but I think we need to have look at it through that prism. Because I can't, that's a very real concern I have.
Why can't we put that in the disclaimer in the agreement? Meaning that like it's subject to, I don't know what the verbiage is, but a lot of people have that sort of thing.
Well, and that's why I added the thing about, okay, so it can be denied if there's concern about it'll be ill-attended, too large for the event area, or other reason of public interest or concern.
Yeah.
To tie it to public health and safety, really.
Yeah, and we reserve the right to deny the application. Yeah.
Okay. So you think we're by that wording, you think we're steering clear of the potential challenges we might have?
I do.
Okay.
To me, this is a reservation thing, but I mean, we could have Randy review it too. I think what we really want to avoid and make sure something that isn't going to drive our constituents, where they have noise concerns or hearing issues, or like we did in the past sometimes. So.
And in regards to our right to cancel a reservation, reserves the right to cancel a reservation if the village requires use of the facility in which case they get their security deposit back. Do we need to say that so it basically says we can cancel you anytime? It doesn't say why. We just say if the village requires use of the facility.
Yeah, I mean, we could be more clear on that. I kind of like it gray. I mean, I think we all agree we're not going to cancel it unless, let's say, the roof starts.
I understand that it's I gotcha. Okay.
But I mean, we could, Louise, we could clean that up. I mean, put something else in there.
No, we
Put
reserve the
anything
right.
there, like if performance materially differs from provided material? Like if somebody sends us some videos and content that, hey, they're doing this, and what's actually occurring is materially different than what they presented, the village could cancel.
Oh, well, that's during the event, yeah.
Yeah, so we do have something in here about if it's falsified or whatever, they would not be able to use village property again, but we can add something.
Yeah, I'd put it for the cancellation during the event and not receive their deposit back.
Okay, so let me just real quick, cancellation. Okay, that's the standard one we have on all of our forms.
Okay.
So did we want to change something on there? I think it was no.
Yeah,
And
that's fine. You can leave it there.
and then there's something about, if they're presenting something different or false information. I don't think that'd be, Jerry, you're saying like we looked at it, yeah, this is great, and a week before the event, we find out they lied.
I think what he's
Or-
saying
or
is
during the event.
during the performance, we're like, uh-oh.
Just to give some language there that
All of a sudden we hear foul language. All of a sudden
yeah,
we
just
got
referencing the
stuff
summary.
going on that shouldn't go on because
Yeah, let's say the videos
That
provided
happened.
all showed reasonable music and performance, and then the event was actually just somebody shouting in a microphone, that we go, well, this is materially different than what was presented, cut off.
Okay.
And I think that it's important to say materially different and not say content.
Yeah, just materially different than applied for or something like that. Yeah, we want to avoid any First Amendment issues, Nate, I think is what you're getting at.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So you want to, then we review this again and like, take a look at this one more time or just pass this along, right?
I think you can just pass it along.
Okay.
And then, like I said, we have one person who was interested in starting to rent for next year already, and that they can start working on the application. Because as I said, I do have it 4 months notice because I want to make sure you can get it before a committee. What if the committee cancels that month? What if they don't have time to get to it?
Mhm.
And no more of these 30-day or 2-week notices that you're having a concert in the park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make more sense, definitely.
All right. So I'll make those changes, then Sarah will start using that form. So
Okay. So 5F is the 26.
I think we need to move, if you're really going to do the 2-hour meeting, I think we got to move to staff reports and matters to be placed on the next agenda. Otherwise, that 2-hour
Okay.
time frame doesn't mean
I
anything.
think we can get the orchard agreement in for 2026. That's a quickie. We've already done it once. This is for 2026. We already did 25.
yeah, we do this every year.
Yeah, I'm on F, like Frank. That's
We do
quick.
it every year. I made some minor tweaks to address some of the concerns we had last time.
So basically, it's exactly what we approved for 25. We approved it late because we approved it when the season was kind of already done. Now we're getting ahead of it because the committee had said why we were approving 2025, then it just because Sequest hadn't submitted, blah, blah, blah. So now we're getting ahead of it, and this is 26.
Yes.
So I will move to approve the 2026 orchard agreement with Sequest Orchards for the former Wiltsey property.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, for the sake of expediency, I'm going to move right now to 5H, which is miscellaneous no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm going to move to 5H, miscellaneous inquiries, matters from a previous month. And one thing that's big in this one, well, we can go down the line. One is vegetation and trees. I will volunteer to discuss what shrubs are to go where the stones are. They didn't survive because the stones were hot. We didn't water them as often as we could have or should have. Okay. The stones made it even hotter. So the boxwoods didn't do well. So if everybody wants to trust me, or if Denise wants to partner with me, I will volunteers to choose the replacement shrubs for those areas.
I will partner with you.
Okay, Denise and I can do that unless you guys have any objections.
I trust both of you.
Thank you.
And I
Parking
definitely
issues.
agree with Eric to pursue a credit because the landscaping company recommended those to be used, didn't give us proper instructions, and they died.
Yeah, they should have, I mean,
That's
yeah,
what we hired them for, is
they
to
should have
have that
told us to
expertise.
water them that often because, so I mean, I'm happy to talk to them if you'd like me to, or if not, if you guys want to pursue that, otherwise I can talk to them.
Eric's talked to him. I think we just need you to select the different shrub. So Eric's been going back and forth with them.
All right. Okay, Eric, I'll follow up with you. Parking issues, I think those should already be
Now, hold on.
referred.
Vegetation and trees, number 2.
Oh, trees. Yeah, I will work with Eric on where to put the trees based on that big tent, Eric. Because I think the only big tent that we have there is there during, I think the only time we have a big one there is for Marina Fest, for when they do the pancake breakfast, and I think, right, when the Lions Club's there.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring it up during the walkthrough because there was just a lot going on. But
Yeah.
after I looked at it, and I took a picture of that tent, those trees are going to be really closely tight to that tent getting set up. Because I can't
Eric,
push them that close to the
maybe you
sidewalk.
missed it during the walkthrough, but we actually did have that discussion, And I thought the consensus was, I know we were all kind of spread out, was that we weren't going to limit our placement of trees for an event that happens one weekend a year, and that as the trees matured, the tent options can change.
I mean, I can, Denise, go ahead, because I was going to work, like, it's not in stone where the tree is, but let's at least take into account, because I think it's a 40 by 40, isn't it? I think. I don't remember, but I think
It's
it
a very
is.
large tent.
Or it's a 40 by 60. It's big. So that's all I was going to take into account, not the tree has to be here, you know? I don't know, Denise?
So they used to have the pancake breakfast in Marina Park. And
Oh.
so it is a separate event. It is in the morning. It is the
Yeah.
only thing that goes on in that tent, is my understanding.
Yeah.
Does
You're
boat
right.
building go on there?
Boat
Yes.
building
No.
happens in the same tent.
The
It's
boat
in the
building
same
goes on
tent.
that one end, does it now?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That could still happen at Marina Park. So I don't want, going back to exactly what Jerry said,
Yeah.
not be able to plant trees where we want them because of one tent, one day a year. So they have Marina Park as an alternative where they used to have it. So,
Okay.
Yeah, and this was just a precautionary for you guys. I didn't want the fire department or SBAA or, have a controversy. And Julie expressed this to me, but I just wanted to make you guys aware of that possible squeeze that may happen.
Well, Eric, let's go down there. Let's walk down there and look at it. Bring a big tape measure and let's see what we're looking at.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
do sort of like the boat building by the marina, to tell you the truth. I mean, it's a better location for it, to tell you the truth. But I agree, it's one day a year. It shouldn't affect the beautiful trees we want to plant there. I got it.
Yeah, I agree too.
Okay.
Parking
All
is
right. Parking issues are good. I think we should refer those to the parking committee. Everybody good with that?
do we have a committee? Are they meeting yet?
We have a committee and I don't think they've met yet or recently, but they need to.
Okay.
Does the parking committee have the ability to dictate striping and signage, or would they refer it back to us to finalize?
No,
Could
they
they-
would be able to, I believe they'd be able to do the same authority that you have. Well, I'd have to look at the resolution, Jerry. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have spoken.
No, they have to report to us.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think they're, now that I think that resolution is they are a recommending committee only.
But nonetheless, they can go through the discussions, get the data, whatever needs to be done and come to us because we talk about it a lot. Julie's right.
Yep, I just wanted to make sure that was the case.
Okay.
Donations.
This is the one for the
Somebody
Community
donates
garden?
money. Well, this is somebody donates money. Like we have a lady who calls every year. Hey, I donated money. What's
oh, we
going
haven't
on?
spent it. Yeah.
We have no way of acknowledging them.
Mm.
And I do believe that if you acknowledge people publicly, other people donate, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so we
They
need a
were gonna
plaque.
have Yep.
Yep.
And
I'm
when
happy
we-
to work on the plaque.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to work with me, let me know. Julie, you're gonna send me some samples?
Yeah, I have a note here. I still haven't done it though, Louise.
Okay.
So what
Garbage.
about item 5, the one before donations?
That was parking. That goes to the parking commission.
That's
committee.
also going to, okay.
Yep.
Well,
Garbage
because that was my request, because
Yeah.
nobody understands what no parking over the lines means.
Yep.
So my request to that committee is no RV or camper.
Yeah, it needs to be reworded. Yeah, because they don't get what that means.
Okay.
Yeah, and we just went with signs that when we do signs, we look to see how other communities write them for what they say. So we're using consistent stuff. No parking over the line is one that is commonly used. We can do whatever we want, but that's why that one was up there. So, okay, that goes from the committee. Garbage cans.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should buy 6 more and I don't mind having them on Mill and Spring or other side streets. But Eric, let's see what you think.
Well, typically you're just going to be adding more time during the workday and overtime on the weekends. You're looking probably, depending on drive time, it's going to range between 5 to 8 minutes a can that you guys set out there. So other than that, everything's doable. It's just more time.
Okay. I don't think we have to do a lot of them. I understand. I'm a little surprised at Mill and Spring, to tell you the truth. I kind of thought that there were places actually on Maple, further down Maple or something that could use one, but I do think we could use some on our side streets. I don't know. What does everybody think? Denise?
Well, I was just going to ask, do we want these? Or do we just want a single one, with the wood and the rope?
So they're easier to get at?
Well, I wouldn't say easier. I'm just saying we have that option if it's on a side street.
True. Do we have
Um,
extras of those? Do we have some extra of those?
Yes, we do have some that are not in use right now.
That's a good idea.
because I had asked for one between Secondhand Sue's and Ecology and
Yeah.
across the street in the marina.
Yeah.
The one in Marina Park got put out, but not the one between Sue's and Ecology. So I thought we didn't have any extras. Because my trash is just, I don't know if anybody notices, but there's hardly anyone who is not in in another business, let's say, that does not have an alcoholic or a coffee drink in their hand. I mean, people just walk everywhere.
Well, you're right. And they're all looking for something like that. And you're right. Your garbage can is usually overflowing. Okay, use those garbage can.
Yeah, but I remember Denise, you asking about that, and Eric, do you remember why there wasn't one put out there? Or
There
was
was one put in Marina Park.
I was under the understanding of one across and then one by the marina location. That's where another one was set, not across from the one that was placed in marina.
I need one on
Maybe
my
it was
side
just
of the
a
street.
miscommunication right there on that one.
No worries.
We did set two of them out.
So if you've got time and we could put one at Mill and Spring and we can put one in front of Sue or in between Sue's and Ecology, I'm wondering if we could also put one around Roots. Or closer to Husby's, maybe between Husby's and that house that's behind Husby's.
I think you should wait till you get a sidewalk there, Louise.
Oh, you're right. That's right. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
All
it would
right.
have to go on the
That's gonna
grass.
that'll get filled up fast,
Or knocked over or something.
well, especially going into fall. You're right.
I do
Okay.
think though, next year when you have all nice new roads and sidewalks, you should have all nice new matching garbage cans.
Yeah, the
But
new ones
let's,
over there.
but we didn't budget for that.
Yeah, we don't have to buy them right now.
So let's try it with the ones that we have and get a report from Eric next year. Do we need the two, the recycling and the trash? And do we want to, budget for that for the following year?
Sure.
Yeah, Eric?
Just one question for Denise. Denise, you said you wanted Ecology and Secondhand Sue's a can right in between both of those two businesses?
Yeah, we're right next door to each other. I need one can somewhere.
Okay. And then the other one was going to be Mill and Spring intersection.
Yeah, that's the one the lady wrote
And that's
about.
one woman that she asked about. So probably on that corner where Goose and Twigs is, I guess.
Okay, and we're
Or
just
the
going
opposite corner.
trash
The
right
opposite
now
corner is
instead
a
of
better place,
recycling.
the opposite corner across from your building. Pardon me?
We're just going to be going with the trash cans, not the recycling set.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eric, just two quick questions. Aren't the existing cans bigger than these in terms of their capacity?
The nautical cans are bigger than the steel ones paired. The steel paired ones are 36 gallons a piece, where the nautical are about 50 to 60.
Okay, so you'd have to empty them more. What about the existing cans where there's commingled trash and recycling? Does going separate that, or how does that work?
No, we do. So we'll go around and we'll separate the trash and the recycling.
That stinks. Okay. I didn't know you guys had to do that.
Yeah, so typical drive time, and then that normal check. That's why I said it's between 5 to 8 minutes, because if we're having to replace, that's going to take a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Okay, then for the road and trail projects. So this is 5H. Sorry, Eric.
Just to let you guys know, I got about 10 minutes before I got to get my kids off the school bus. I
Okay,
can
Eric, why
jump
don't you
on.
give us your, no, give us your report.
Does anybody have any questions on it?
Yeah, I had one quick question. Mine was related just to, do you think you're gonna get those parking signs up? Do we have those in, for over on Country Lane?
So that has been a little bit of a delay because the county has been struggling to get the school zone reflective tape. This is not a heavy request for them.
Okay,
So he's having problems with his vendor on securing the tape. I
Okay.
think he's been able to secure it, and that should be coming soon.
okay. Okay.
Now,
Then,
I I have one question.
sure.
Did the wet and forget, how did that work?
Wet and forget is a little more of a waiting process. I haven't been able to get out and kind of review all the benches and everything like that, but from what I've seen just as passing by, it kind of goes like in like a spotty type of working mentality. So there might be a little blackness here where this piece kind of cleared itself out. So I'm still kind of
rain helps too.
right. Mike might know, he's used this product
Yeah, it
before.
takes a while.
It takes a while.
To
And
tell you the
expresses that
truth,
on the labeling as well.
If I sprayed in the fall, it's a month or two into the next summer that it looks better. But yeah, and we may not be patient enough for that, but it works.
So I'm encouraged with the time that it took us to do it. Even if I got to redo it in the spring, we're still ahead of the game there. But we'll see. We're going to find out. And, if we don't like it on our next walkthrough, if they're not up to what we are expecting, we can definitely always try something else.
So if I were doing it, Eric, I would be doing it again this fall too.
Well, we just did it.
Okay.
So,
You just did it recently?
Yeah, we just got that done.
Okay.
So that kind of counts as the fall. I'm more inclined to, if I'm not seeing like what I want to see out of them, maybe I'll hit them again in the spring before our walkthrough, and maybe we'll have those results that we're actually looking for on that product.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, Eric, was that this has to do with the bathrooms at the ball field. And that was I know you had put in your report that that the water service line has to be trenched below the frost line. But the other thing that, and I wasn't aware of this, that Jeff told me, was that the entire building would have to be heated year round to avoid frozen pipes and water damage. So there would need to be because it's not insulated. So right now they blow those, well, you blow the pipes out, right? So
Correct.
it would have to be insulated, and there would need to be a heat source.
Yes.
And you don't plow over there. You don't plow that access road either.
Not at this time.
Yeah, so I think in order for us to make those bathrooms year round, we have to understand that in addition to the trenching, we also have to insulate and find a heat source for the rest of the building.
I think, Louise, that was a known, and our recommendation was just don't build the bathrooms in such a way that if we decide to do those other things later, we'd have to rip up the bathroom and start again.
Right.
Well, did you have that discussion, Eric, with John?
Yes. John is aware, and he is putting the plan together for the future to, at least if the decision is made, then we can talk about those other things that need to be done to have that happen year round. Yeah, but me and Jeff both made John aware of the desire of this committee, that, you know, there is a future aspect that some of these committee members would like to see with this bathroom. So like a 20-year plan down the road. So I think they're
So right
planning.
now, we're just planning for not winterized, we're not year round at this point.
It's hard to keep up with John sometimes on everything.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure, like, as far as like styrofoam getting put on the bathroom foundation and everything like that, and the possibility of heating
Okay.
sources being installed later down the road if the committee decides. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And then the trenching. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
Building plans approved by the state would show that it is set up to be used for winter purpose when the time is right. So
Gotcha.
it's got the insulation and everything laid
Okay.
out the way it was supposed to be.
Okay. All right. All right, Denise.
I had two other questions in the report pertaining to the dog park. How inconsiderate are our users?
Well, I'm there
I love
every
the
day. I'm there
idea of a
every day.
temporary shutdown.
Well, let me just say, I'm there every day. If I'm not there, Duke is. And so regular users of the dog park are not necessarily the culprits. And you should know that regular users of the dog park regularly pick up other not their dogs, but other dogs' stuff.
Okay.
So that this doesn't happen, but we don't always get it. We don't always get it when we can. We do the best we can. We're well aware. We don't like it either. Like, we don't love it, right? I think shutting it down is a little rugged for regular users who wouldn't understand when they're, that's hard.
Okay.
What we could do is, and I'm happy to do it, I can talk to the team, my regulars, 6 of us or so that go on a regular basis, to go and do a sweep. I was just there when I was reading this, actually, so I must have been there on Saturday, or so. I was there both days, Saturday and Sunday, to look to see what's out there now. And there was a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. And I can understand if it gets hung up in the blades and stuff, that stinks literally and is not fun. I just don't know if closing it is the best way to curb that, because some people are back in Iowa, or, some people are just, and yeah, maybe some of them are locals, but I don't know what else to do. There's big signs.
Fine.
There's
That's fine.
I mean, there's
That's-
everything. I don't know what else to do.
And then the last question I had was the update on cold storage, TK Builders. Is this the only contractor that you have talked to, Eric?
No, I talked to Portside. They were unwilling to come out after my conversation with them. I think a lot of the fear is that they don't want to be the ones that put the estimates together and then have everything go out to bid. When I was talking with him, I was like, well, maybe we can just break it apart. We don't have to combine it all. If the siding comes in under 25 grand, then it doesn't have to go out. I'm trying to work with this guy, but then he's like, it's a lot of work, and, I don't want to do all this work and then have it go out to bid and us not get it, per se. And, TK was the only one that actually picked up the phone, said, hey, I'll come out there Friday. We'll have a conversation. All the other local guys besides Portside haven't even called me back.
Okay.
And I'm thinking that is why, because they know the game. It's like, oh, well, municipality wants all these estimates. It's going to be over 25 grand. I'm going to waste my time. So I'm hoping still that TK doesn't back out on me and I got to start this process all over again. Basically, hey, come on. Can someone help me out here?
Yeah.
Type of thing. I haven't heard anything back from him yet. I'm going to give him another week and then I'll reach out. So
Right. Yeah, splitting things up is good.
yeah,
Okay.
that's what I talked to Portside about, but he was still he's like, if TK bails on you, man, then hit me back up and then maybe I'll work with you. After I was like, we'll break it up. We don't have to do it all.
Eric, talk to me about that. Because
Okay.
when you break if you have, let's say, a $75,000 project and you break it into 25, 25, 25 to get around the law, that's illegal.
Oh,
Well, Julie, I'm just trying to get them out. It's just,
But if it's,
I
you
get
know,
what you're
if,
saying, though. I'll
if-
definitely
if-
talk to you about
but
it.
let's say one company is doing something removal and another company is coming in and doing something else and another, and it happens to total 75, but it was broken out that way. That's different because you had 3 different companies. They're all bidding on different elements of it. So we just got to watch that. Okay.
But
So
wasn't the conversation now that we own the site now, the building doesn't need to be moved, we can go ahead and break up the projects? Wasn't that the conversation that I had with you? Maybe I misunderstood that section because I thought, well, that's when we were discussing the lean-to.
yeah, we'll talk about
We'll
it.
talk. It's fine. We'll hash it out.
Do any other questions for Eric on his director's report? Okay, thanks, Eric.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Thank you, thank you. So now we're going to move to, and these are important questions, road and trails projects. So I'm on number 5HV8, which is 63 in print. It might be 62 or so in your packets. So the question is, in terms of the Triangle project, when are we going to let them do some of the construction? I think Julie's suggestion of, nothing from July 1st to Labor Day, and then from October 14th to the 20th. But my question to Julie was, okay, what kind of work would they do before July 1st and between Labor Day and October 14th, and how disruptive would that be? And what does it make sense for us to have them get ahead of it?
Yeah, I guess I don't know, Louise, because it all depends when it goes out for bid and the schedule and stuff. Like it could be that, I mean, and I think we had talked about how they don't want to be working up here in tourist season either, but maybe they get it to the point where it's all a gravel base and then nothing else happens after Labor Day, and then they come in October 14th to the 20th with the actual coming down and rolling your asphalt, you know. We don't know, but it's gonna get really expensive if we're paying those winter charges. I just don't know what they would be doing because it hasn't been out for bid, but that's the type of thing I would envision, is that they would get it to a point where all the gravel's down. We're gonna let it settle from Labor Day to October, come back and roll out the asphalt, and be done, stripe it, you know.
Do we have to give them the answers to these questions, including, the sump pumps and also the one-way traffic thing? Do we have to give those to Robert E. Lee before we see the next set of designs?
You don't have to give them on the construction timeline, but you got to think about that pretty quick because that project was originally supposed to be
Yeah.
let for bid
Yeah, okay.
December. So they
So
need to prepare all their bid paperwork, and
Okay.
that's part of it, right? When you bid this, be advised, you will not be able to work this time, and they have to calculate all that into their schedule and stuff. For some people, to mobilize, maybe they have to mobilize all the equipment twice. They probably wouldn't bid on it because that gets really expensive. So they have to know that before that goes out for bid, which
Okay.
ideally originally was going to be like December.
Mhm.
And then as far as the sump pumps, yeah, you should talk about that really quick because that there's still some changes on the engineering, right? We don't know what's happening with where I'm sitting. We don't know what's happening with some of the parking. But the more they can get settled early, the more we can keep them on track, and then the traffic study thing, you just have to be advised that, if you want to do a traffic study, this project is going to halt and it's going to be delayed probably a year. Because what'll happen is you're going to have to stop all the engineering. You're going to have to wait, get the bids, get the contract, etc. for that traffic study, wait for the traffic study results, discuss what happens next, and then it's going to go back to engineering, which would be, I'm thinking maybe April, May, finish your engineering, so it'd be delayed a year.
That's a long time. Denise?
so my opinion is with the triangle is summer is construction season. And we deal with it in every other municipality in cities. And I know we don't allow other things, but I think road construction is different, and I think that they need to work just right through the season, to ask them to stop and remobilize at a later point in time. I think they just need to get it done and keep on a roll, is my opinion. I know that it will be a little painful, but that's what road construction is. I mean, you don't travel in the summer where there is not road construction.
I just worry about if it's July and August, what goes on at, for those businesses and people that live there, but also like Lure or Husby's, or On Deck or something. I mean, there's,
Well, though, if you just have a gap there, Luis, you end up locking in July and August where it's partially deconstructed for sure,
yeah.
versus them just working through it. I'd rather them just work through it as fast as they can. It's going to be more economical and have less impact to the businesses and people.
And you
that live there.
enter Lure from the highway, fine.
Right,
There's
but there's a lot of parking up on, there's a lot of parking.
not a
up.
lot of parking, there's some parking.
Well, they got, I don't know, 5 or 6 spots, but anyway, so right now, no matter what, then I think what you're saying, Julie, is from July to Labor Day, it's going to be gravel, both roads.
I don't know, Louise, until they bid and show us schedules. You
Okay.
had said, what do I think? I'm thinking
Yeah.
that's probably
Yeah.
how that could work.
Okay,
Or could dictate it like,
all right.
What
I
I think we should be,
what
okay.
time of year did we do the other road there behind Chad's house and by the yacht club? What
The
time
Mill
of year?
Mill Road had to be completed by Memorial Day, and I think it was like Mother's Day weekend that they finished that one up.
It was done
They
before the
started it
season,
in- They started it in spring and finished it in May.
but that doesn't look like that's going to happen because this is a bigger project, right?
Right, yeah.
And you
But,
can't
a
really,
bigger project, it might be the same because you're going to have somebody come in and they're going to tear up all your asphalt, right? That guy's just going to keep going till he has all the asphalt torn up. You have somebody who's going to come in and they're going to tear up the pipe, and they're just going to keep going. We won't know it till we see those bids, but I'll be honest with you, I'm guessing it'd be done by midsummer just based on how you did the Mill Road project.
well, yeah, but you gotta, hope for the best and plan for the worst, which is Labor Day. So we just got to plan for that. And what does that look like? It's okay. It's all right.
Yeah,
So if
'cause,
it gets done earlier, okay.
Yeah, Mill, you're coming in, you're chewing up asphalt. You're working in this little area now. We got to get this. I mean, I think that the bigger project, I think it might actually be about the same. I don't know
Okay.
though. I don't know.
Okay. Well, and then on item B, all right, well,
So,
on item B,
on
I think,
A, do we have consensus that we're not going to put a moratorium on road construction? It'll take what it takes?
I think I'm okay with that. Do we need to communicate this do we be preemptive and communicate it and let these businesses and homes, they're short-term rentals there. These
We
are
will.
businesses, let them know because they got to let their
Yep.
guests
So
or,
so
patrons know.
I won't be here when that happens. So somebody's going to have to remember, but you need to send them all a letter with the schedule so they
Yeah.
understand what to expect and when to expect it.
And we won't know that for a couple months, right?
You won't know it until you get your bids back.
Okay. As far as the sump pumps, I mean, to me, they definitely got to run, the laterals. And if we ask them to do it, I mean, do we pay? That's really the question. Or we make them do it, sorry. Do we pay? Right? Is that the
Yeah,
question?
so if we are going to say everybody has to hook their lateral up, then our pipe on our property is
Yeah.
going to have those connections. The engineer is going to know to put those little connections in at every lot because somebody's going to be hooking up to it. So we're being preemptive. We're making sure it's all designed correctly. And then, so the next question is, then do you make them hook up to your hole in your pipe? Yes or no, we don't know. I do not think you would pay, you should not, I don't know why you would pay to actually put that lateral from their sump pit to our pipe, because that's private property, that's private lateral, something could go wrong, you don't do that. But what we could say is, if you run the pipe from your sump pit to our lateral, we will be paying for that connection to occur to our pipe, right? We don't deal with paying for stuff on private property because we get in trouble, or running laterals because, my God, what if we accidentally hit their electric line or something, right?
Okay.
And
So,
we're talking about both commercial and residential properties on Mill Road
No,
nobody
this
on
is
Mill Road, it'd be in the triangle.
in the triangle.
Yep.
How did we do that on the part of the road that we just did a year ago-ish?
Nobody thought of it, but I don't think it was an issue. The yacht club didn't have an issue.
Yeah.
Gaddy and everybody, I think, is draining down towards Parkview.
Yep, the ones on Parkview are an issue.
Yeah.
And from an engineering perspective, I mean, if you're an engineer, you're like, you got to
Yeah.
do that, right?
Yeah.
You're like, are you kidding me? You're not doing that?
Yeah, the properties are coming in like this,
Yeah.
onto the road. We want to, we want to collect that water and get it out of there so it starts damaging stuff. So it keeps,
Oh, how have other municipalities handled this? Because there's got to be a precedent.
same way, we have to decide, are we gonna pay for those connections? Or are we gonna tell people, if you want to hook up and get rid of the water out of your basement, you got to pay to connect it? They'll always pay for their own lateral. Communities don't pay for laterals on private property, but the question then comes, once it hits that right of way, do we pay to connect it to our pipe? Or are we gonna make them pay to connect it to our pipe?
What is the connection fee, Julie? $1,500?
I'm not sure. We would not be doing a connection fee like a utility charge.
Okay.
But
It would be in the,
my experience with this is it's
Julie,
typically
can
by
you
the foot.
finish? Mike, can Julie finish?
Sure, I'm sorry.
yeah, right now it's all about engineering the pipe. Do we engineer that pipe to have those holes in front of this lot, this lot, this lot? So Jennifer knows how to design her pipe, right? That's going under the road.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but she should, if people currently have a sump pump that's going into something, they will know the location of that and put in the holes in our pipe in the appropriate place.
Well, and that's why I'm asking, do you require, we're gonna put these holes in our pipe and we are mandating you now hook up to it.
Right.
That's question one.
And do we know everybody has a sump pump?
Probably not.
We do not. I think most do, but we do not. But it would be, if you have one, you're going to connect it, because let's face it, if you come out there later and somebody's got this water issue or whatever, and it's because they didn't connect it, it's like, all right, you were supposed to connect and you didn't. Now you pay to dig it up. You're paying to connect into it. It costs them more money in the long run. We want them to all do it right away because we don't want the road disturbed again.
Well, yes, they should absolutely have to, and you will, and I
Well,
think we can have a
wait.
further
I think-
discussion
I don't know
on
if you can just say they absolutely have to. I think
Who-
we have to make sure we know the rules.
who
Yes, the table-
pays and what that fee would be could be a further discussion.
Yeah.
But yes, usually when pipe goes past your house, you have to hook up to it.
But Mike, I think Mike's right. We got to make sure we're on solid ground there, number one.
And you don't have to dig it up. They usually drill it now.
So
So, but it's complicated because if we're going to strong arm people, we may want to work with the excavator and offer them some sort of package discount pricing when we're doing that. That's often what I've seen happen at other municipalities.
Yeah, I
well,
don't know that we want to get involved with,
Yeah, what we're doing is we want to have it in our bid package so we get the best price right away. So when it goes out to bid, they know X amount of lateral hookups. The engineering plan is going to show exactly where they are. If we know those, if we're going to make people do them.
How do we communicate this to residents? The people that are affected by this?
I write them. They have been very receptive about everything except for that parking issue on Maple here. I've
Oh.
heard from, I think, all of them or almost all of them.
Okay.
But again, that's
So the question to us would be whether or not we want to require them, and if we do, if we pay for it.
well, are we going to make them do it? Are we going to? We're sick and tired of all the drainage issues and what it does to our roads and everything. Everybody must hook up.
As long as we're on solid ground and we can do that, I mean, legally. Can
Do we
we?
know how many properties we're talking about and how many are residential versus how many are commercial?
I haven't went back and looked at the map. It's the same maps that we had when Jennifer presented it to us. So you can kind of count on there how many are residential and commercial.
So these are on Parkview, they're on Maple, and they're on Bluffside, all of them, right?
Yeah, some of them won't have the same issues though, but the ones that do have those sump pumps running, and I'll
Okay,
be honest with you, when they talked to me at the public informational meeting, they're like, you guys should let us hook up into your system right away because right now they're going they're going out and they're draining back into their basement.
yeah.
That's true.
So first step is first of all, make sure that legally we're on solid ground. Second step, communicate with them. And then what's the process of requiring them to connect? What do we actually physically have to do to make that happen?
Well, Jennifer, so Robert E. Lee will come up with the documentation that they have to sign, that we all have to sign, making them hook up to the system.
Okay, but the actual hookup, who does it? They do?
So our contractor is going to, they're going to run the lateral on their property, and when we go through, we're going to connect them to our pipe.
Okay,
It's there. If not, they're going to do it later.
all right, so we give them a cost on running the lateral or no?
No, they are responsible for the lateral on their own land.
No, I know that, but getting them a cost for it, would that be wrapped into what we're doing?
No,
Okay.
because again, we're going to go from that right away to our pipe.
All right, okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I just didn't need to understand it. Okay.
And that's really what it's about, Louise, is do we pay to have these connections in front of every lot? Are our taxpayers going to pay for that to allow these people so they can drain?
Mhm.
Or do you just leave them on their own?
But let's say they don't. Do we now we've got so many flooding issues there. Do we now have those issues come back to haunt us
Sure you do.
at some point later?
Sure you do.
I mean, there must be a reason we want them to do it.
Yeah, and they want to. You know, several of them want to. One of them even said, "Are you going to make us?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. What do you think about that?" And he said, "I think you should."
You know, there's going to be some people that aren't going to want to do it. I mean, there always is.
Yeah.
But
Jennifer can identify which ones we need to make it, and I'll talk to her about it. As long as I know you guys are open to it, I'm going to talk to her about it and say
Okay.
how do we want to do this? So
okay. As far as a traffic study, if it delays it a year, I'm not interested, but that's just me. So this
I
is a
agree.
traffic study to have it go one way, because we've discussed this before, have read since our last meeting, studies that one-way traffic, roads that are one way have a tendency, people go faster. That is the last place that we want anybody to go faster. So that's just my opinion. Chad Kanako is the one that was talked about being one way, but I think this has been a discussion for years. So. Anybody else besides Denise have an opinion?
Yeah, I don't see delaying the project for one way, and one way doesn't look like a good idea to me either.
Mike?
I don't have a strong opinion. I would rely on the information from the experts.
Okay. All right, Julie, you got enough for all that?
Yep.
Okay. Updates from last month, the historic signage that was proposed. Julie included some signs in case the stone pillars from a design or price standpoint are prohibitive. And, I don't mind, I think that the sign supports that she's enclosed with photographs look fine if we can't do stone, in my opinion.
Yeah, what we're finding is I think they're gonna look kind of clunky.
Clunky, yeah, they're big.
And because we didn't want to use the person we did before, so we reached out to Mike's contact, and he's like, well, I don't do those, but I can learn how this winter. And I'm like,
Uh-oh. It's a bad sign. We don't want to be his
That's
first
not good.
job.
you
Do not want to be his first job. Yeah.
yeah, you need other people that could, and now we're looking at multiple masons out there, and I'm like, this is going to get really expensive. Eric is still working with them to get the bid, but clock is ticking. It's October. We wanted that slab poured. I think you may end up just going with these metal frames, and I don't think they're a bad idea. When you see them like this, I didn't
Yeah.
think they were bad.
I've seen him at a few places. I think they're fine.
The one thing I think we do need a volunteer on this for, though, is we were going to meet out there again and decide where that slab went. I don't think we need the whole committee out there because of time constraints, but Eric is working to get that slab poured after Fall Fest. So, if we could have people agree to go out there and identify that exact location where we want the slab, that would be beneficial. Or we can wait and have a special committee meeting for it
But
too.
that's a committee meeting. How do we do it? Can we put everybody, I don't know if anybody has that paint you can spray in the grass that's,
Yeah,
you know,
we
it-
want-
well, it just, it washes away.
Well, I think this. I think the Monday after Fall Fest, people should be standing out there deciding where that goes. I think if somebody doesn't have a strong opinion, we all decide.
I have a very strong opinion.
Okay,
Yes,
Denise,
I
go and
know.
look and see where you want it to be. Go over with your little
Yeah,
paint
I don't
can.
want to do it by myself. Do you want to
Yeah.
partner with me, Louise?
I'd love to, Denise, the Monday after Fall Fest. I can't wait. Okay,
Okay,
let's
so
do it.
and I guess that's what I was saying. If somebody doesn't have a strong opinion, let's let somebody else who does go out there because we just need to get it done.
Okay,
Okay, Louise and Denise.
yeah,
Louise and Denise, Monday.
yeah. All right. Okay, so the one thing we didn't cover before we get to matters to be placed on a future agenda, actually one other thing I wanted to ask, and that was commemorative bench requests. So we have some in the packet, but we also have a policy we should look at. I don't think we have time to go through the policy. So we did pretty good at 3 hours and 11 minutes, but we could look at the request, Denise.
Can we just approve the Wilkie one? I mean,
I agree.
to
Wilkie
me,
should
that's a
totally-
no-brainer
Yeah,
to push
Wilkie
that
is-
forward.
Yeah, Wilkie is totally a no-brainer. Agree.
I make a motion, we approve the Wilkie bench.
Second, all in favor?
Just want to,
Aye.
the question, is there some reason we can't approve all of them?
Well, I
Yes,
was-
Yeah,
Yeah, fine. Let's do them all. Yeah, I looked at all of them. Yeah.
Is that, yes, there is a reason we can't approve all of them?
Do you want to
Denise?
change
Yeah,
your
I
motion, Denise?
question the other two because they don't meet the one is questionable in my mind and one is a definite no.
Okay.
Although
The
the one
que-
doesn't request the waterfront, so, Pebble Beach or some of the other locations don't fall under the strictness of the
Yeah.
waterfront bench policy, right, Denise? If I understand the policy right?
I'd have to look at the policy, which I did not.
Yeah, I thought when we looked at it in the past, like waterfront has very specific rigid requirements, but Pebble Beach or other locations did not.
Well, can we have the policy then in our packet for next month and bring the other two back?
It's actually
Okay.
there, but
Policy is here, but
we need to talk about the first paragraph and make it a little bit more, a little clearer, I think.
How did I miss the policy?
I don't
page
know.
48.
Okay,
Probably
Oh.
Denise because it's part of the application.
Yeah,
oh,
it's the first 2 pages.
yep, I
Um,
scrolled down just thinking that was part of the, yeah, sorry.
Uh, well, I mean, which one? I'm fine with Wilkie. I'm fine with the one that got engaged on Pebble Beach. I don't remember what the third one was. Sorry.
So when is
Wynn.
the one I think that got engaged on Pebble?
No,
No,
Pebble.
Spring.
Wynn has nothing, but they lived here. And we have turned those down in the past. That's not a determining factor.
Okay, here's what I think we should do. We'll approve Wilkie and we got to bring this back and talk about determining factors because we go through this and it's hard and it's I don't know. I don't know.
So next month agenda, revisit the policy and look at the other two applications.
I think so.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'll just note that they applied at the beginning of August, so we haven't exactly been quick on this.
Yeah, they keep calling too.
Well, give them a date, tell them what's going to the, if you, easy for me to say, but it'll go to Parks in, where are we now? November, except for Wilkie.
Guys, I hate, okay, are we done with that one?
What do you hate?
I hate to go back, but one thing I forgot to ask you, I'm looking at my notes here when we were talking about event fees and stuff like that. And I know that if you don't address it, it's going to become an issue someday, but I'm assuming we do not want to allow any events whatsoever out at Pebble Beach, but I think we need to make
Oh,
sure.
no. Yeah, right. Yes.
And I say that because one
I
time
mean, I say, I don't think we should, but
yeah. One time somebody had an event down there and how did this work? They closed it off to the public so they could have their event there. And Skylar is the one who actually told me about it, I think is what happened. I think we just need to get it in a policy because if it's not, you're going to deal with it. So I'm
it's
going
easy. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely no events.
no events whatsoever.
Yeah.
No
Yeah, no
events.
reservations at Pebble Beach. I agree
Yeah.
with that.
No,
I agree
no
also.
events, private or public at Pebble Beach, period.
Then the one thing I forgot to put on the agenda, so I'm assuming we're at the next meeting already, but what to put on the agenda for next meetings. I forgot to put it on here, but I did have a request. Somebody wants to know if they can have the chicken coops on Lagerquist. They have family value to them. Apparently his family used to tend those chicken coops out there or something. And I forgot to put the request in the packet. So we'll have to do that at the next meeting.
Okay. It sounds like we'll revisit commemorative bench request form. Please, everybody read it, have a point of view. It's kind of subjective and emotional and stuff. I don't know.
The last Parks Committee worked really long and hard on creating that one.
I know it's just okay. I don't know. Oh, I know, actually, as it relates to that. This may be hard to do and it's a lot, if it's extra work and I understand if it's like, God, I don't have time to do this. But I'm wondering how many requests we get for benches on an annual basis. Is it whatever the hell it is? And how many, and there has to be a finite number of locations we have for benches, right?
Yeah, we'd have to go back, see if we can figure that out. Sarah, you'd have to see if you can
If it's
find
too much work, don't do it. But it would be interesting to, not interesting, who cares about interesting? It might be easier to take action on something when we know that we have, I'm making it up, 100 locations for park benches. And on average, we get 25, we get 20 requests a year. We're done in 5 years. But in 10 years, we take them away because they aren't great. They get a letter. Do you want to renew your bench? And so that's that kind of cycle. So we kind of know like, what are we going to do? At a certain point, we're not going to have any more. Or maybe we do, or maybe after 10 years, we recycle them and somebody else gets another one and then somebody gets pissed. Denise.
Do we charge
Heidi
enough for the
had that
benches?
list in her file.
She did. All
She
right.
presented that
I
to
thought-
us.
Currently, I thought we were full now, and we were adding 2 additional benches this year, so we could take 2 off a waiting list. We have a waiting list as far as I'm aware. So we're at our max.
Is that waiting list based on the number of places that we have designated we can put a bench? That would be my only question. So let me talk to Eric about that because he may have worked with Heidi on it. Okay?
Okay.
Well, and keep in mind, so we could put those benches, some benches out at that Ava Hope Park. We could
Right.
put benches by Pebble Beach, especially in that parking area where people are waiting to meet a friend or whatever.
Yep.
You could put them on a trail. I mean, there's some areas we could do it because, and I'm just throwing this out there. I don't know. I wasn't here, Denise. I came at the end of that bench policy, but should there be a difference? I don't care where it is in Sister Bay. Okay,
Right.
it doesn't matter whether they gave
Maybe it's
contributions.
private. Maybe it's at the sports complex. Maybe it's
Yeah.
at the dog park. Maybe it's at the community garden.
I think
You
we
know,
may
but-
be having next month's meeting debate now.
Yeah, and
No,
I
we
would
can't.
also,
We
if we
can't.
look
We
at
can't.
it,
I will not go past 4:30. It's just against
Sure, you're right.
everything that's flowing
We've
in my
crossed,
body.
we've crossed into this as an agenda item and we need to
right.
save it for
and
next.
I just ask in the agenda that we talk about the fees for them too. It seems, if I understand it right, they seem a little light for this compared to some other communities.
Well, I think we're passing those on to the board already.
The
Mm.
fees, that's what we
Yeah.
talked
For
about.
for the benches, we had the bench fees
Oh,
in
the
there.
bench fee. Sorry.
Yeah, the
Okay.
bench, I'm just talking specifically the bench
Well,
fees.
that
which
could be one way to, okay.
Well, I can hold off sending that to the board if we want to go back and
No,
read.
he was talking about the bench
I'm
fee.
just talking about, I don't know, are the bench fees in the thing for the board?
No,
I didn't think they were,
I
but
didn't
they
see 'em.
showed up in here. Maybe
no,
I got it wrong, but
no, they're
that's what I
separate.
recall.
They weren't no, they were not in the things that the
But we
rental
can
fees
talk
is
about
what
it
we're
at the
talking
next
about.
meeting.
I don't want to forget to ask if maybe Nate and you and Jerry might consider maybe there's a broadband thing that Jess Hatch is doing just to bring people, in some cases, people have signed up for broadband and stuff. I don't know. I can send you the link to it in case you would want to attend.
It's
I'll
this
send you the link.
Thursday.
Yeah, it was forwarded already.
It was, okay, sorry. I didn't know if you saw it. I just wanted to raise awareness for that.
Okay.
I just have to make a note. Mike, you raise a good point. That bench fee should be on our fee schedule.
Oh, okay.
So then maybe we hold the fee schedule till we address that, so we don't bring it back twice. And we don't, I mean, like, that's just that much more work for staff if we change it twice.
Okay. All right. Anything else for future?
I think in
Julie?
general, and maybe it's not a future agenda item, but any time we refer something to the board, if we could have an update back to the committee in the next session about what the board discussed, because I mostly have to find out what the board does by like reading the meeting notes or
Yeah.
whatever. 'Cause
Yeah.
So-
we pass stuff up and then who knows what happens.
So Jerry, you mentioned that a while ago and I agreed with you and I try to put it in my administrator's report. Maybe I'm missing some stuff, but some stuff I figure you're finding out right away, but like for example, I didn't update you on the lease because the post office lease,
Well, because that became an agenda
because it
item.
was an agenda item, but the other things that the board looked at, I thought I covered in my administrator's report.
I was curious about the Bertram broadband and what happened with that.
That's because that is not, I can't yet, Jerry. We're
Okay.
still
It-
doing
it-
stuff on that. Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay, do I have anything else for anybody, have anything else to contribute for next items for the next meeting, which is November, where are we? 3rd. Wow. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Everybody's so excited.
Okay.
Hey, not bad, 3.5, could have been worse. Next time, 2.5. All right, all right, thank you. So moved. Second, all in favor? Okay, thanks,
Have a
everybody.
nice afternoon, everyone.
Bye,
Thanks.
you guys.
See you later.
Sarah? Sarah, I'm not gonna make it down to the print shop. They close at 5. My goal was to leave at 3. So they open at 8:30. So I hate to do it